Hello guys, welcome back to Fanfic Dojo. Today we will be listening to What If Konoha's Raging Storm Fell in Love with Tenten Part 2. Not fair, a 6-year blonde boy muttered. The blonde boy eyes, which held so much pain, looked to the congregation of people surrounding the academy. Adults gathered around their children, praising them for their success and listening to their stories as they walked home. The blonde protagonist of this story looked on towards the people with pain in his eyes. The blonde boy was currently on a lone swing, starting back with his deep blue ocean eyes. Also his unruly and spiky blonde hair untamable and with 3 straight horizontal line across each cheek, and just wearing a black t-shirt with an orange spiral on the front and wearing a pair of orange pants. Naruto let out a huge sigh. It's not fair. What did I ever do wrong to the villagers? Why do they hate me? It's not fair. How come I am so rubbish in shinobi skills? It's not fair. How come I don't have any parents? That was the biggest thought running through Naruto's head. How come he was an orphan and had no one to love him? With those thoughts, Naruto got up and started walk back home to his apartment. Ever since he was 4, the orphanage had kicked out Naruto and refused to have him live there, saying that he shouldn't even be alive. These comments brought tears to Naruto's innocent face. However, not all was lost. The kindest person in the village gave Naruto a new home and would visit him quite often, nearly twice a week. That person was known as the third Hokage and was currently waiting for Naruto to come home. As Naruto reached home and opened his door, he was greeted with a great sight. "Old man Hokage, what are you doing here?" Naruto shouted enthusiastically to the aged Hokage. The gray-haired Hokage looked at Naruto with a small smile. Some people might call this disrespect, but Hokage knew that Naruto only said that to the people close to him. Also, the Hokage took it as a sign that Naruto was still alive on the inside and he still was a child. "So Naruto, judging from your voice, you are happy with your arrangement at the academy?" Sarutobi questioned in a kind voice. But the old Hokage looked at the young vessel and knew he said something wrong, and his suspicions were answered when Naruto spoke next. "It's great, old man, but..." Naruto spoke hesitantly. "It's just not fair. I have no one. All the kids either make fun of me or beat me up." Tears started to fall down the kind child's face as he confessed to the Hokage all the years of pain bottled up and emotions were starting to be released. "There's a limit to how much a child can keep in. And the adults are worse. The parents all give me glares and the teachers just pick on me, making me look like a fool. It's not fair." Naruto was now freely crying and didn't stop. The old man felt like a real jerk for breaking the boy's spirit. So he got up and hugged him, telling to let it all out. After several minutes, Naruto had calmed down and now was just sniffing, with the Hokage taking his seat again. "Old man," the most powerful man in the village brought his head up to look up. "I have been doing a lot of thinking lately and I have come to realize." Sarutobi looked up at Naruto with astonishment. He knew Naruto was not dumb, but right now he was showing great maturity. "That I need to become stronger so people can acknowledge me. You know what, old man, I have a dream." The professor had an even more curious face and he was wondering what Naruto was going to say. "I going to become Hokage. No, the best Hokage ever, surpassing the previous ones, then everyone will acknowledge me." Naruto finished off with a huge grin. Sarutobi just looked at Naruto with surprise. Even after all his treatment from the villagers, he declared he was going to become the village protector. Sarutobi couldn't help but smile at Naruto's declaration. Hey old man, please train me, please. See, I have no one else to be trained by. All the kids have parents or personal tutors. How about it, old man? Huh? Naruto asked with a passion. The third Hokage looked down. "I am sorry, Naruto, I cannot train you. I just don't have the time to do so," Sarutobi replied dejectedly. In Sarutobi's mind, though, the real reason would be the council would just not allow him, and he was also taking into account the Yondaime wishes. Flashback. 6 years ago. Sarutobi coughed. "Please look out for Naruto for me." The Yondaime coughed more blood up. "Also, when he's ready, give him my scrolls to him." Sandyame looked at the young man with tears brimming his eyes and gave him a nod as to say, yes I will. Also don't train him personally even though I want the village to view him as a hero I know he won't be so he needs to be strong by himself he needs to grow by himself, he needs to be strong from the beginning Goodbye old man, make sure you protect my home. With that the hero of Konoha died, and Konoha would never be the same. As one hero died another one was born. Don't worry Yondaime, I will. End of flashback. Naruto bowed his head down dejectedly. But that does not mean I cannot help you out, Sarutobi stated. Naruto's head whipped up at wicked speed that Sarutobi might have thought he might have got whiplash. So old man, how you going to help me huh? Naruto asked eagerly. Well, because I cannot train you, does not mean I cannot help you, Sandaime said wisely. Naruto being Naruto shouted back, you already said that old man, just tell me. Sarutobi chuckled at Naruto's enthusiasm, okay Naruto, just calm down. You see Naruto, it might be hard for me to get a sensei for you, so what I want you to do is to take this. Sarutobi reaches inside his robe and takes out a plastic gold-colored card. Naruto looked at it curiously, wondering what it is. You see Naruto, this card is your ticket into buying anything you want. All you have to do is show it to the clerk and charge it to my personal account. Now see here my boy, you must use this with a level-headedness. I am trusting you, not go and ruin my account, Sarutobi explained to Naruto in a calm voice. Don't worry old man, you can trust me, Naruto said with huge smile on his face. But how is buying anything I want going to make me stronger? Naruto queried with a confused face. Ah well my boy, you see here with this card you can purchase ninja equipment and books you want, Sarutobi replied back. Naruto, I want you to go this store, it's called Kai's Corner Store. You see Naruto, it's not really a corner store, the store is really a cover for up and coming ninjas to buy anything they want to do with shinobis. We cannot have enemy shinobis buying our books now, can we? Sarutobi lectured to the 6-year-old boy. Well Naruto, I hope that can help you, Sarutobi said in a soft voice. Don't worry old man, I will make you proud, said in a huge shout. Before the wise Hokage left, Naruto left him a parting speech. Old man, you have always been there for me no matter what, the one who's always been kind to me, you gave me home, you put me school, and now this. For that old man I am forever grateful. Naruto stated compassionately. Well Naruto, you are part of Konoha and it's a Hokage's job, no obligation to look out for everyone in the village. Everyone in this village is my family including you, so Naruto, your family as well. Sarutobi replied back with equal compassion. As Sarutobi left and closed the door of Naruto's apartment, you could see a silent Naruto crying tears of joy. Don't worry old man, I am going to make you proud, I promise, and I never break a promise, Naruto whispered to himself confidently. As soon as the old man left, Naruto went straight towards his only clock. The time was 8:43 p.m. Damn, it's already this late, I wanted to go to that store. Oh well, I guess there's always tomorrow, Naruto said to himself while rummaging his cupboards for a cup ramen. Aw man, only a vegetable one left. Oh well, ramen is ramen, hehehehe, giggled to himself while preparing his instant food. I wonder what I should buy with this new card, Naruto thought to himself. After pouring the hot water into his cup and waiting for 3 minutes. Damn, I hate these 3 minutes the worst, Naruto mumbled to himself. While eating his ramen, Naruto thought he definitely needed to get more ramen. But what about training? Maybe I should have asked the old man something, or maybe the person at the store could help. Then I will definitely get stronger and show people who I am really, and then they will acknowledge me. These were the thoughts of the young 6-year-old boy as he ate his food and went to sleep. Just as he went to sleep, Naruto announced to himself, tomorrow's a new beginning for Uzumaki Naruto. Beep beep beep. A loud sound was ringing through the room of a blonde demon vessel. Aw man, I hate that damn alarm, grudgingly said to himself. What, it's only 6:30? Oh man, I left the alarm on, it's Saturday. Well, it won't matter anyway because I need to go to that shop and start my shinobi training. All right, here goes nothing, Naruto stated to himself. Naruto got ready and had a quick breakfast, as he was so excited he could hardly eat anything. He dressed in his usual clothes from yesterday as those were the only things he had. Okay, today is the birth of Konoha's Naruto said to himself, trying to think of a nickname. Oh well, I will come with something eventually. With that, a 6-year-old Naruto sped out of his apartment, not forgetting to lock the door, running towards Kai's store. Naruto was so happy and excited that he completely ignored the villagers' stare, humming an off-tune song. Naruto squealed with delight at seeing the store and started to walk confidently towards it and entered the shop. It was really weird. It was like this store was out of some horror film where an unsuspecting idiotic kid runs into a store and gets chopped up into pieces. No one would think Naruto was horror buff, but hey, appearances are deceiving. Excuse me, is anyone here? Naruto called out while looking at the store. They had 3 dining chair but no table. What's the point having that? Naruto was thinking, man, I think I came to the wrong store. It's weird, how come I never noticed this store before? Naruto thought to himself as he looked around the creepy store. Hey kid, what the hell are you doing here? A gruff voice called out, of a tall white-haired dark green-eyed man wearing a dark blue robe showing of his muscular chest. Well, sir, I, was sent. Naruto's words were all jumbled up because of the man's intense stare. He felt like saying, well, if you stop looking at me like that, then maybe I could answer you, but thankfully he didn't. So he did the only thing he could think, which was take out the Hokage's gold card. After seeing it, the strange man looked at it and shouted out loud. Oh, so you're the kid Sandame was talking about. Come in, you need to come to the back of the store to check out our special stuff. Hehehehe, the old man said with a sadistic giggle in the end. Well, as you know, my name is Kai. I run this corner shop. Take look at anything you want except the scrolls, of course, he said with a very business-like voice. Naruto looked around the large store with total confusion. He had no idea what to buy and what not to buy. So he did the most logical thing, which was, ask the store owner. Hey sir, what do you recommend for me? I am only 6 years old, Naruto asked the man in an innocent voice. Well, why don't you start by getting some of Theseus' books? They will help you throughout your life. Now let me tell you this kid, some people think these books are useless. Now let me tell you this, Aegean, they are idiots and will never amount to anything. You can take these chakra weights with the manual, of course, and some of these shuriken kunai and couple karate suits, like the stuff Ryu wears from Street Fighter. Well, I think that's what you need. About now we do stock scrolls, but unfortunately we can't give them to civilians or academy students. Once you pass each ninja grade, then we can give them to you. Well, seeing as these items are heavy, why I don't have them delivered to you free of charge. How about, kid? Kai said this all in one breath. He also had this really sly smile and glint in his eye. Naruto guessed that he made his day by buying this stuff. Oh well, this is all for goal to become Hokage, Naruto thought to himself. Thanks mister, you have been a great, and when I am Hokage I can make sure you retire early and live a sweet life. Naruto outshouted in a big voice. Ha 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 kid, this is my retirement. Ha 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 ha, Kai replied back while laughing out loud. Oh well, whatever floats your boat. Oh yeah old man, I will definitely be back for those scrolls and maybe some other stuff. Thanks a whole bunch, Naruto shouted back while running out of the store. Wow, once I get those books I am going to start training really hard, Naruto thought. Then I will show everyone who Uzumaki Naruto really is. Naruto thought this while running back to his house. I guess I need a signature weapon and technique. But how do I do that? Well, I guess those books will help me. I almost forgot, I need to get some food, Naruto thought frantically while running off in another direction. As Naruto came towards his door, he noticed a couple of people coming towards it. He saw a person dropping some stuff at his front door. Hey, are you the delivery man from Kai's store? Naruto asked eagerly. "Ah, so you're the kid, well aren't you lucky that you came now, well here you are, the delivery is free of charge, happy reading kid," replied back a normal-looking man with a cap on backwards. As Naruto set his grocery down in his kitchen, he went towards to his delivery, moving away the weapons and chakra weights, which seemed to weigh absolutely nothing and that sparked his interest. Naruto then put aside his weights and looked at his books that stood there in all their glory. "Yes, this is so kick-ass, I am going to read all these books as soon as possible," Naruto said to himself in an excited whisper. "Well, let's see what these books are," Naruto murmured to himself. Chakra for Dobis. The theory of element jutsus. Taijutsu for dropouts. Ninjutsus for dobis. Genjutsus for weaklings. Fighting styles. Shinobi weapons. Konoha history. Creation of your own jutsus. How to be the best shinobi. Well, they look like really useful for making jutsus. Naruto spoke out loud. "Oh, I need to wear my weights now, let's see," Naruto mumbled to himself. With that, Naruto put on all his weights but felt nothing. "Wow, this is strange. I mean, shouldn't I feel something right about now? Oh yeah, I should read the manual. Hey, I am such a dunce sometimes," Naruto who chuckled at his own lame joke. "Okay, it says here put weights on. Blah, 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 oh here we," Naruto mumbled to himself. While looking at the manual, it said you needed to pump a small amount of chakra into the weights. Only 1% each time, or your bones might turn into dust from the intense weight of the weights. "What the hell is chakra?" Naruto confusingly asked out loud. "Well, I guess I have to read the chakra book. It's a good thing I can read." Naruto laughed out loud yet again at another one of his lamest jokes. So Naruto spent 2 hours reading chakra for dobis and getting the ins and outs of how to use it and summon it. By the end of it, he real grasp of chakra. "Wow man, why can't the academy instructor explain it like that? Then life would so much easier," Naruto shouted out in frustration. "Okay, I guess now I can use these weights properly. I need to pump 1%, hang on, how much is 1%? Naruto said with a confused face. "Ah!" Naruto screamed out in frustration. "Why couldn't he just give me normal weights?" An annoyed Naruto continued his rant. Naruto went into his book and started to read it, trying to find a solution. When trying to separate chakra, it's best to think of it as a big box full 100 balls. If you want to take out 5 of chakra, you take out 5 balls, and if you want to take out 10 of chakra, you take out 10 balls. Wow, this book is really good, now I clearly understand this chakra mumbo jumbo, Naruto cheekily said. Naruto proceeded to visualize a big box with balls filled inside it and took out 1 ball. With that, he could clearly pump 1% of his chakra into the weights. But what Naruto did not count on was the sheer force of which the weights put him under. The weight was so much that Naruto fell to the ground in a heap. "Crap, it feels like someone's pushing me down with all their weight," Naruto thought to himself. "Okay, I have to get used to this if I want to be Hokage," Naruto shouted out in determination. After an hour or so of getting used to the weights, Naruto stood up and was able to walk. It was when he was walking he noticed a couple of pieces of paper, which seemed to be wrapped in plastic. "What's this? Chakra affinity paper, huh? I wonder what this is." Naruto blurted out, holding out the alien object. Naruto held it up high. To Naruto it looked like ordinary paper. "It says pour chakra into the paper to find out which element you lean towards. I guess I wonder what's mine." Naruto queried what element he could possibly be. When he poured chakra into the paper, it cut in half. "Wow, it's wind, huh? I guess I ain't naturally aligned to wind, that is so cool," Naruto said in an excited voice. Now that the ninjutsu side of training was taken care of, Naruto could focus on his taijutsu. "I guess I can learn any taijutsu style, I know that part is easy and I can come up with some cool moves, but what about a weapon?" Naruto asked himself. "Well, I always like staffs, they just seem really cool. I guess I could get one, but that would mean I would have to get a metal one, which would be super cool," Naruto stated excitedly. "But what about genjutsu? I mean, I do have to learn those as well. Oh well, I will cross that bridge once I get to it." Dismissing genjutsus completely. I guess I should go to the old man for some wind jutsus and try and create my own jutsus. Naruto thought to himself, God, how many times have I written himself? In this chapter I got to find a better phrase. So Naruto spent at least 2 weeks reading the books and getting used to the weights. He had also gone to the old man to get some wind jutsus and other ninjutsus. Naruto's attitude on a whole changed. He no longer shouted out in class or made fool of himself according to one of his books, looking underneath the underneath. A shinobi should always stay silent and passive. It made sense. I mean, shinobi are supposed to be the silent killers. They weren't a bunch of rowdy samurai now, were they? Naruto's training had started him of doing basic chakra control exercises by trying to mold chakra. He had already mastered how to do hand signs already, all he really needed to do was speed it up. Going to the Hokage helped him out greatly as the old man gave him a huge scroll of ninjutsu. He remembered how he got it as well. Flashback 2 weeks ago. Naruto came striding into the old Hokage's office, his head held up and shouting out his demand. Hey old man, I need help with my training, give me some jutsus so I can learn them at home. Naruto demanded from the Hokage. Well Naruto, I don't want to play favorite, I have already given you my card, which by the way you happen to be spending quite well. Plus I can't give a 6-year-old boy some high-level jutsuses. Sandaime Hokage lectured the blonde demon vessel. Please old man, I need wind justices, because I found out that I have a high affinity to them. Besides, this will be the last time I ask anything from you. I promise, and I don't break my promises because that's my shinobi way. Naruto begged the old man before declaring his nindo. Okay Naruto, I am trusting you on your word, let me go to my closet and get the jutsus you need, Sandaime said to the excited child who was literally bouncing with joy for being able to get these jutsus. 5 minutes later Sandaime came out with a huge scroll that seemed to ooze of jutsus. Now Naruto, I trusting you to keep this safe, okay? The old Hokage told Naruto. Don't worry old man, I will keep it safe and master every jutsus there are on that list, Naruto proclaimed excitedly to the strongest leaf shinobi, who in return was smiling at the boy's enthusiasm. Flashback end. Man, was that hard to get the old man to agree to that. But now I can start learning this stuff for myself, Naruto stated to himself excitedly, while in a clearing he dubbed his own personal training area because no one came here. So Naruto's training became more intense. He was still on 1% chakra because he found it very difficult to adjust. His taijutsu style seemed to compromise of a bit of karate, kung fu and muay thai. He had gotten these styles from Kai's store as well as a staff form and a training staff, which he happened to have. He remembered Kai telling him it was odd for a shinobi to have a staff, as it was too long and not practical. To this Naruto exclaimed, I'm not a normal shinobi. But like many good shinobis, Naruto started create his own jutsus and taijutsu moves. It has been a month since Naruto's self-appointed hardcore training had started. A few people had noticed the change in Naruto. One, namely a scarred chunin by the name of Iruka, who used to blame Naruto for the death of his parents. However, over the past month Naruto had shown signs of intelligence and strength. He no longer craved attention, but merely stayed silent unless he asked a question. He remembered what had happened yesterday. Flashback. Yesterday. Okay class, today we are going to learn some Konoha history, Iruka announced to the class, and getting a collective moan from all the kids except Naruto, who oddly seemed to look, dare I say it, excited. Okay class, one going to talk about the Hokages. When Iruka had said this he seemed to have the whole class's attention. I mean, who wouldn't want to know about the greatest shinobis this village produced? Okay Naruto, let's see if you have turned over a new leaf. Iruka thought to himself. Okay class, can anyone tell me a fact about the Sandaime Hokage? Anyone? Iruka asked the class, moving his head around until he settled on Naruto. Naruto, how about you? Can you tell me a fact or two? Iruka asked the 6-year-old blonde boy. Naruto was literally sweating bullets at the stares his classmates were giving, almost cheering him on to fail. No, Naruto thought to himself, I am no longer going to be a dropout, I am going to show my true potential. Naruto took a big gulp and shakily answered, well, the Shadaime Hokage was known for his wood element jutsus and great strength, Naruto replied back fearfully. When Naruto finished his answer, half the class broke out into laughter thinking the boy just made it up. Naruto, who thought he got the answer right, looked down in shame. Damn, did I read it wrong? I could have sworn he said he did wood element jutsus, Naruto thought to himself. Enough, Iruka shouted to the class, which was very odd. When Naruto usually got an answer wrong, he would join in the laughter. I don't know why you are all laughing. Naruto got the answer bang on right. Iruka finished with a smile. All the of class seemed to have a shocked expression on their face at the classroom dunce getting an answer right. Naruto seemed to perk up at Iruka's compliment. Okay Naruto, can you give me a second fact about the Shadaime Hokage? Iruka questioned with a genuine smile on his face. At the praise given by the teacher, Naruto answered out enthusiastically. Well, the Shadaime Hokage and his brother the Nadaime Hokage were said to be the founding members of Konoha. Naruto finished with a big smile on his face. Well done Naruto, you got both of your answers right, Iruka acknowledged while reaching into his drawer and taking out a small packet and chucking it towards Naruto, who fumbled at the sudden package being thrown at him. Those Naruto are some of the finest chocolates in Konoha. Well done answering that question. Iruka replied with a kind smile. With that, Iruka continued his lesson, asking if anyone knew the answer to his question. To everyone's astonishment, Naruto answered all the questions. After the class was over, everyone's opinion on Naruto changed drastically. 3 people the most, 2 being Haruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino, and most notably Iruka. Iruka asked Naruto to stay behind, and Naruto, not wanting ruin his happy mood, stayed behind. Naruto, well done on answering those questions, you're really coming along, Iruka complimented the blonde demon vessel. Say Naruto, how about I treat you to ramen for dinner? Iruka said with a warm smile on his while scratching his scar. The only answer he got was a big yes and a thank you. Flashback end. After those turn of events, Naruto easily became Iruka's star pupil. While suddenly Ino and Sakura had started talking to him and even becoming his friends, he found this incredibly weird coming from 2 Sasuke fangirls. But he did not complain one bit. Once he got to know them, he actually found out they really fun to talk to and really cute. It had been almost 2 years since Naruto's ambition of Hokage began. Naruto's training was still going on full force, while developing new jutsus and learning quite a few from the scroll. His arsenal of jutsus was slowly increasing. It would be a long time before he would actually be able to master any of them, but hey, it's better than nothing. His training with his staff dramatically increased as he noticed that he was a complete natural with staff and learned moves from the style he was doing. His taijutsu was coming along quite nicely. He started to do exercises that conditioned his arms and legs and torso. Also doing push-ups, sit-ups, squats, jogging, and the whole works. All in all, Naruto was training at a steady pace and was only getting better. At the academy, he was starting to get noticed by the entire teaching staff, and he was arguably the best student of his year. Naruto liked the attention. He now thought back and was glad for showing his true potential. Naruto's intelligence was starting to increase from him reading the books at home and the lessons from the academy. It was this day that Uzumaki Naruto marked as one of his best days and worst days of his entire life. It was only a couple of days away from his birthday, and Naruto was sitting in class waiting for Iruka-sensei as usual, as he liked to come early to class. I can't believe the seats next to Sasuke-kun are taken. I wanted to sit next to him. A disappointed Sakura said, sitting on the right of Naruto. Well, forehead girl, Sasuke-kun wouldn't be caught dead sitting near you, Ino replied smugly towards her ex-best friend and rival. She was sitting on Naruto's left, with Naruto stuck in the middle of another argument. Their argument would always end up like this, with Naruto always being asked a tough question. Okay Ino Pig, we will let Naruto decided. Naruto, who is more prettier, that Pig or me? Sakura asked Naruto, saying the pig statement with a bit of disgust. Yeah, Naruto, who is better looking, Ino replied back with fire in her eyes. Both female academy students were looking at Naruto with puppy dog eyes. Naruto tried to resist their cute stares. Naruto, however, was saved with Iruka walking into the class. Hey look girls, Iruka-sensei is here, Naruto replied back hastily. Ino had enough of Naruto always doing this whenever they asked these questions. Naruto answered truthfully. Now don't you dare avoid this question, Ino said in a commanding tone. Naruto also got tired of their constant bickering. I mean, what's the point of fighting over an arrogant ass like Sasuke? So Naruto replied back hastily, look, does it really matter? I mean, you're both the most prettiest girls in the village. Naruto finished, looking a little peeved off and staring at Iruka-sensei's face. What Naruto didn't realize was that both girls were blushing furiously and both had small smiles on their faces. For that was the sweetest thing any boy ever said to them. They both knew Naruto was always genuine in his words because he never lied. Okay class, settle down now. Today is a special day, seeing as that we have a new student joining us from the lower grade, and student from this class will be joining then upper grade class, Iruka informed the class of the arrangement. Okay class, please welcome Hyuga Hanabi. Girl walked in with white eyes and black hair and looking the class as though they were beneath her. Okay class, settle down now. I like to congratulate the person who has been promoted to go to the upper year. Uzumaki, Naruto, please step up. Iruka beamed towards Naruto at being jumped up a year. Naruto got up, pulling his back over his shoulder and looking over at his two friends Ino and Sakura, who looked heartbroken at losing their only male friend. Damn, Naruto thought to himself, just when I get friends my own age I have to leave. When he reached Iruka-sensei, he gave him much praise and 2 jutsu scrolls, saying that he deserved. At the time, Naruto would have rather traded in his 2 scrolls for his 2 friends. Naruto dejectedly left the class and out the door, already missing his friends. But as soon as Naruto reached the door, he started to get excited. If he was bumped up a grade, that must mean he was strong. So began Naruto's 3rd year in the academy. In a new class and new environment. Even though Naruto was disappointed in leaving his favorite teacher and people, he quickly got stuck into this class. Naruto realized that this class was a lot harder and he would have to put more effort into lessons. 3 weeks afterwards, it was Naruto's 8th birthday and he started his birthday in great fashion by training his ass off. Naruto had a checklist in his house of all the jutsu he could do and mastered. Right now he was looking at that list. Ninjutsu from the scroll. Mastered. Bunshin no Jutsu, Doppelganger Technique. Doden. Doryuden, Earth Release. Earth Dragon Bullet. Doden. Doryuheiki, Earth Release. Earth Style Wall. Doden. Doryu Taiga, Earth Release. Earth Flow River. Futon. Daitapa, Wind Release. Great Breakthrough. Henge no Jutsu, Transformation Technique. Kaden. Karyuden, Fire Release. Fire Dragon Missile. Kaden. Karyu Enden, Fire Release. Fire Dragon Flame Bullet. Kawarimi no Jutsu, Body Replacement Technique. Kaze no Yeba, Blade of Wind. Maisai Gakure no Jutsu, Hiding Camouflage Technique. Nawanuke no Jutsu, Rope Escape Technique. Shunshin no Jutsu, Body Flicker Technique. Konoha Shunshin no Jutsu, Tree Leaf Body Flicker. Tsuchi Bunshin no Jutsu, Earth Doppelganger Technique. These were all the techniques Naruto had mastered from the scroll. He had spent day and night doing these techniques. The old man did not have many wind element jutsu, which kind of pissed him off, but he found out that he could do fire and earth element jutsu pretty well. But could not do any lighting or water element based jutsu. On the side next to ninjutsus there was another piece of paper stating his original jutsus. Now these jutsus were Naruto's prized technique that he had come up with. And he was really proud of them. Original jutsus. Mastered. Wind Release. Wind Dragon Technique. Wind Release. Hurricane Upper. Wind Release. Screw Upper. Wind Release. Double Cyclone. Wind Release. Spiral Wind. Rising Kicks. Shining Fist. Chakra Fist. Note to self, think of better name. Charka Wave. Wind Cutting Kick. Rising Dragon Wind Uppercut. Spinning Dragon Wind Uppercut. Naruto was really happy about having so many jutsu in his arsenal, he was almost going to wet his pants. But there were many technique Naruto failed at and needed to improve greatly at, like the Raging Storm, which Naruto thought that when he would master it, it would be his signature technique. Right now Naruto was on only 5 chakra release on his weights. He had never thought it would be so hard to maintain balance while having such heavy load upon himself. All in all, Naruto's training was coming along really quickly. He had a very good grasp of his staff, his ninjutsu were really, and his taijutsu was really good. The only thing which was Naruto's chakra control and genjutsus. The only genjutsu Naruto knew off was Kokuangyo no Jutsu, Bringer of Darkness technique. Oh well, Naruto said out loud, I guess you can't be good in everything. That's when Naruto went to the wall and peeled off a piece of wallpaper. Underneath the wall was bunch writing, but one word stood out the most. Wood element. Naruto stood looking at the wall for a long time. For a longest time Naruto could remember he had been able to use wood element jutsus. He didn't even tell the old man he was able to do it. But what really concerned him was he a descendant of the first, so that's why he was able to do wood jutsus. Naruto didn't dwell on these thoughts because right now he had a 1-week holiday from school. All the kids would be playing or going with their family somewhere. Except one kid who didn't seem to be like the others, his name was Rock Lee. The boy couldn't use ninjutsu or genjutsu. So he said he was going to become a taijutsu master. He liked the boy for his enthusiasm but was really freaked out by his appearance. As for his friends Ino and Sakura, he rarely saw them at all. Even meeting with Iruka-sensei was a task and a half. But right now Naruto was going to try out his new technique. He had been working on the Raging Storm. So Naruto ran out to his special training area and got ready for his new jutsu experiment. He knew the basics of how to do it. Basically all he needed to do was channel huge amounts of chakra into his hands. And then release all of it into the ground with his fist so everything around the area would be totaled. What Naruto didn't know was the extent of the damage it would do. As Naruto entered his clearing and did his morning stretches, he got ready to release his deadly attack. Okay, Raging Storm, take 1 inch, Naruto said out loud. As Naruto gathered the chakra in his hand, he did not realize the extent of how much chakra he really had. Once he gained a satisfactory amount, he slammed it into the ground, releasing all of his chakra. It's Naruto's birthday today. What should I get him? I still haven't given him a present for advancing a year. Maybe. Sarutobi Hokage's train of thoughts was broken when he heard a boom. The whole office trembled as the noise traveled across the room, his paperwork flying off the desk and his hat being blown away. The old Hokage quickly got up and retrieved his hat to look outside. What he saw was smoke coming from the forest. He knew immediately that was the area Naruto trained at and developed his jutsus. Naruto, what have you done now? Muttered Sandaime Hokage as he jumped out of his office and raced towards the site of the smoke. As he approached the area, he was shocked beyond belief. There, standing in front of him, was a crater a third in size of Konoha. As he was looking at the crater and trying to see where Naruto was, he was joined by Konoha's finest Junin. Hokage-sama, are you okay? Asked a concerned Anbu captain. It Konoha's priority to check if the Hokage was okay, and seeing that he was near an explosion which rocked the whole of Konoha. Yes, I am. Sarutobi didn't finish his answer as he spotted Naruto a few miles from the crater and sped after him. The assembled Junin, confused by their leader's action, prompted follow him. As Sarutobi neared Naruto, he knelt down to feel his pulse. When he found it was steady and not erratic. The old Hokage sighed in relief and mentally berated the child for having him so worried. He gently picked up the child and started to go towards the boy's house. Half the assembled Junin grew bored seeing that the Kyuubi brat was the reason for the explosion and went off to do their business. It was unfortunate that some of Konoha's finest couldn't get past their petty prejudices. Hokage-sama, was Naruto the cause of this crater? Asked a concerned Hatake Kakashi. It would seem like it, but please hold of the questions off until we get him home, the Hokage said to everyone. So the Hokage and 3 Junin sped off towards his home and the others went to the hospital to send a medic nin to Uzumaki Naruto's house. Well, Hokage-sama, this boy is lucky that he didn't blow his arms off. I mean, he ripped all the muscles in his hands and arms and he's suffering from severe chakra exhaustion. If this were any other person, I would deem them unfit to become a shinobi. Because of the damage done to his hands, it would be lucky for him to even use them. The medic nin told the Hokage, who looked very heartbroken about the news that the boy could never become a shinobi. He had already failed the child and he was only so young. For something of this magnitude to happen to him was just plain cruel. But because of the boy's tenant, he will be perfectly fine. The chakra healing him is at an exceptional rate, it really is amazing, said the medic nin in excited tone. With that he left, telling the Hokage that the boy needed to rest for at least a week and most likely will wake up at night. The old Hokage berated himself for overreacting and not letting the medic nin finish his statement. The old Hokage looked at the 3 Junin assembled in Naruto's house that were looking around the boy's place to find a lot of training equipment. It seemed this boy was already on his way to becoming Hokage. Wow, this boy sure does train himself. I mean, look at these books and scrolls. Hell, the boy's even got chakra weights. No wonder he was bumped up a grade, a bored-looking Genma said in astonishment with a Senbon needle sticking out of his mouth. To shock Genma is something that was very unusual. He was the typical lazy shinobi, who didn't get excited about anything. He is everything I would expect from a boy who created a crater that size, Kakashi replied back to Genma while reading his perverted novel. He defiantly seems to carry the flames of youth, Guy shouted in his oh-so-Guy way. When he had said that, everyone around cringed. Hokage-sama, what are these papers on Naruto-kun's wall? Asked a curious Guy towards the strongest leaf shinobi. Ah, those are some very special papers you see, Guy. Up on the wall are the jutsus Naruto has mastered and the ones Naruto has created, Sandaime Hokage replied to the taijutsu master. Genma went up to the wall and gave a loud whistle at the amount of jutsus Naruto knew. Wow, Hokage-sama, for 8-year-old boy, that's a pretty nice arsenal of jutsus he's got there, Kakashi complimented about the boy. Everyone seemed to stop at Guy's shivering. A concerned Hokage asked, Guy, what seems to be the problem? Hokage-sama, you have to look at this. A very shocked Guy pointed towards the wall, which showed a piece of wallpaper covering a piece of paper with writing on it. After all, the 4 shinobi looked at the covered paper. They all grew faces of astonishment. How could Naruto be able to do wood element jutsus? These were the thoughts running through each of the leaf shinobi. Everyone, you must not speak about this to anyone, understand? This is an S-rank secret, even bigger than Naruto being the vessel, understand? The Hokage told all 3 Junin assembled. The Hokage was lucky in that he had the most trustworthy ninja assembled before him. After everyone gave a nod of understanding, Guy shouting out something about the flames of youth. After all the assembled shinobi left, Sarutobi got a great idea for present and quickly ran home to retrieve it. Ah, my head feels like I went through a stampede of angry bulls, a groaningly Naruto said as woke up and began to slowly sit. His arms feeling heavy and felt like rubber. Well, you're awake, that's good, Naruto. How do you feel? Asked a concerned Hokage. Well, old man, I have had better days. Damn, that means my technique was a complete failure, Naruto blurted out. Sarutobi, looking at Naruto's disappointed face, decided to fill him in on the information on what happened and why he was in the bed. So that's what I guess I have a long way to go before I can use that jutsu again, Naruto embarrassingly answered to the old Hokage. Yes, Naruto, you do have a long way to go before you can fully utilize that jutsu. Oh yeah, before I go, here are your 2 birthday presents. One's a summoning scroll, the other is very rare staff that was used by the Shadaime Hokage before he came to Konoha. It's made out of the strongest wood in the world and is harder than any metal in the world. So I give you these two presents. The old Hokage said in a kind voice. Just before the Hokage left, he gave a piece of advice to Naruto. Oh yes, by the way Naruto, in regards to your new jutsu, it's always good to start in small steps. Happy birthday Naruto. Naruto looked around the room and saw in the corner a week's worth of free ramen given by Iruka for his birthday and 2 sets of vases with flowers in them from Sakura and Ino. This brought a smile up Naruto's face, knowing that his friends thought of him. Well, so much for training for week. I guess I go on a bedridden for a week. Naruto sighed to himself at the unfairness of it all. It had been 2 years since the incident of Naruto's raging storm. The Hokage confessed to knowing Naruto's ability at being able to perform wood element jutsus. But Naruto said it was okay and knew that Sandaime Hokage is the one of the trustworthiest people in Konoha. Naruto's academic grade was at least above average, but found out that this class was much tougher than his lower year. To top it all, of the teachers were not very fond of Naruto as Iruka was. So they give the hardest assignments and made sure he was never paired up. However, Naruto did not care in the least about this blatant misconduct. He saw their unfairness as a challenge to become Hokage. Naruto's attire had changed for the better, no longer wearing his orange jumpsuit. He found a new love in the color of red-black, whereby there is a hint of red in his black clothes. He wore a reddish, black gi with a fishnet shirt underneath, foregoing any other stuff. He still wore the sandals that most Konoha shinobi wore and black fingerless gloves to protect his knuckles instead of looking for style. Naruto's training was also coming really well. When he found out that the summoning scroll was for the Monkey King Enma, who could turn into a staff, Naruto literally hugged the old man to death for getting 2 awesome presents. Naruto's jutsu list was ever increasing. His original list of jutsu was increasing very quickly. He took the old man's advice to break down the raging storm by making smaller moves. This could not have been better for Naruto, because taking smaller steps he came up with 2 more awesome jutsus. All in all, Naruto's training was taking a turn for the better. Naruto's 2 best friends still met up with him, but they still were Sasuke obsessed. He didn't mind that at all, because they were still his most precious people and he would protect even if he had to give up his dreams. But it was a day before graduation that really changed Naruto's life. Naruto was training as usual in his secret spot, trying to come up with a technique, but was finding it difficult. I need to somehow use the Bringer of Darkness technique without any hand seal. That's the only thing that seemed. Naruto was unable to finish his chain of speech. Mizuki, some male adult shouted out. At this, Naruto perked up. He had heard that name before, but from where? Then it clicked, he was that bastard teacher who acted kind to in front of others but sneered to him when he was alone. Naruto knew from the tone of the shout that Mizuki did something wrong, so he chased after origin of the voice, seeing if he could help. Naruto found Mizuki being chased by Iruka at quite a speed. Iruka said something about him stealing some forbidden scroll, which in Naruto's book was unacceptable. Naruto charged Mizuki, kicking him off the branch he was running towards. Mizuki landed in a heap against the forest floor. He quickly got up to see who attacked him. To see the demon brat of Konoha with a huge scroll, Mizuki looked behind himself to realize that Naruto had taken the scroll. Iruka landed next to Naruto, who was surprised at seeing the young academy student so far, but was glad his star student had the scroll with him. Naruto, that scroll is the forbidden scroll of jutsus that the Hokage deemed unfit to be taught to anyone. Do not give it to him no matter what. Iruka pleaded to Naruto. It was that moment that Mizuki told the forbidden secret to Naruto, that he harbored the 9-tailed beast Kyuubi. At being told such a thing, Naruto stood frozen, not able to react to anything. His whole 11 years he had been ridiculed and hated against, and now it made sense why people hated. He was just some stupid demon. Naruto couldn't take it and ran out towards the forest with the scroll in his hand and Iruka pleading for him to come back. He kept running towards the forest, hot tears streaming down his face. He landed against a tree, his body and mind not able to keep up with what he had learned. About 3 to 4 minutes later, Iruka and Mizuki landed a couple paces behind and started talking about him. Iruka: Naruto is nothing but a stupid demon brat who should have been killed when he was baby, Mizuki mockingly told Iruka. Naruto was waiting for Iruka to agree with Mizuki but was pleasantly shocked at what he heard from his first friend. You're wrong, Mizuki. Naruto is not a demon, he is a proud Konoha shinobi like me. He will grow up to become a great shinobi. Naruto is no demon, he is the future Hokage of Konoha. Iruka finished with so much admiration in his voice, that Naruto was crying fresh tears of joy. Huh, too bad you won't be able to see his growth because you see this as your end, Mizuki shouted while charging Iruka. Iruka, seeing that his death was near, had only one thought: Naruto become a great ninja and make me proud. But he was saved by figure dressed in very dark red. Don't you dare touch Iruka sensei or I will send you to hell, Naruto said in a cold voice. Huh, I like to see you try, demon brat, Mizuki shouted back. Naruto did not say anything, instead knew this was the time to try his newest attack. Kanashibari no Jutsu, temporary paralysis technique, Naruto spoke and Mizuki stopped in his tracks. With Mizuki stopped his tracks, Naruto performed a Shunshin no Jutsu, body flicker technique, and appeared right in front of Mizuki holding his shirt, looking at him with cold eyes, and then said to him, "It's time for you to witness the raging demon." With that, Naruto performed Kokuangyo no Jutsu, bringer of darkness technique. Everything went black in the area. Iruka then he noticed 30 flashes of light coming from one direction, and then the darkness subsided and Mizuki still stood frozen with Naruto's back turned towards him. But what happened next shocked Iruka. Mizuki had blood spurted out from every direction of his body and fell to the ground in heap of his own blood. Naruto whispered out the name out his jutsu to be Uzumaki Clan Jutsu, Raging Demon. After the events of the day, Naruto found out that he was just a vessel and not a demon, which made happier. Plus he found out that Iruka sensei and the old man accepted him no matter what. Naruto found himself waiting for his new team to be announced, already passing the test to become a genin. But to his disappointment, he did not become Rookie of the Year, instead he had settled for being above average, which made him happy nonetheless. However, he did not like the Rookie of the Year. It was given to that arrogant Hyuga Neji who just preached about destiny and told everyone he was better than everyone else. It kind pissed him off. But he hoped he got paired with the flirty Tenten who liked to tease him to no end, either pinching him or groping him. Naruto wasn't a pervert, but he could appreciate the opposite sex and how good looking they were. Tenten was no exception. When Naruto came to the class, he was an outsider because he was a year younger than everyone else. But Tenten made him feel welcome. At first she would just shortly chat to him, but her actions got braver and braver each day, and by the end of the month she was a world-class flirt in Naruto's book. It wasn't just because she was so good looking that Naruto liked her. It was also because she was a very strong female shinobi and her dream was very admirable. Plus she never laughed at his dreams but merely smiled her oh so sweet smile. Currently right now Tenten was sitting next to very closely. One of her hands was spinning a kunai while the other was lying on Naruto's leg. Her hands were so soft and they were rubbing Naruto's hand ever so, creeping to his crotch. TT Tenten-chan WW, what are why you doing? Naruto asked in a flustered tone, looking at the weapon, mistress. What's wrong, Naru-chan? Tenten asked with fake concern, knowing exactly what she was doing. She slowly brought her hand up to his crotch and gave it a light squeeze. Ah! Naruto moaned out when Tenten squeezed his crotch. Everyone looked at Naruto why he let out such a weird moan. At this, Tenten giggled at Naruto's behavior, loving to tease the cute blonde. Okay class, settle down now, it's time to announce the teams. At this, all the newly formed genin stopped what they were doing so the teacher could announce the teams. Naruto tuned out most of the teams until the teacher moved to Team 5. Okay, Team 5 consists of Rock Lee, Tenten and Hyuga Neji, your Junin instructor is made a guy. Announced their teacher. Tenten had a disappointed look on her face, but it quickly turned into a mischievous grin, and as she was getting up to leave she mustered the most seductive voice she could possibly use and whispered into Naruto's ear, "Naru-chan, I hope you will think about me when you touch yourself tonight." With that she gave a little lick to Naruto's ear and ran down to her teammates and new sensei with a big grin on his face. The only thing Naruto was thinking was, "I will now." His face beat red from Tenten teasing. "Okay class, now I will announce the people of Team 6, which consist of Yuhi Mai, Kagura Raiden and Uzumaki Naruto. Your Junin instructor is Shiranui Genma," the teacher announced, interrupting Naruto's thoughts. He could see a Junin with a Senbon needle ticking out of his mouth and his forehead protector wrapped around his head like a bandana. Seeing as the Junin instructor was looking at waving for them to come with them, Naruto joined his two new teammates and sensei and followed them outside to what seemed like the roof of the academy. When they reached their destination they all sat down and waited for their sensei. "Well, I am Junin sensei if you don't already know," Genma told them in a bored tone. "Okay, why don't you tell me your likes, dislikes, dreams for the future, all that crap?" Genma asked them. The young girl by the name of Mai put her hand up and said, Sensei, why don't you go first to show how it's done?" "Well, my name is Shiranui Genma," Genma said in a deadpan voice. Everyone one around sweat dropped at Genma's basic answer. Okay, Red Eyes, you first." Genma pointed towards Yuhi Mai, who looked excited to talk about herself. "My name is Yuhi Mai. I like many things like karaoke and ramen. I have a few dislikes, which are the color orange, and people discriminating others without getting to know them. My dream for the future is to become genjutsu specialist just like my sister and to prove to everyone that genjutsu is as important as nin and taijutsu," Mai called out brightly, very proud of her speech. From what Naruto could see, she was quite cool except for not liking orange. Yuhi Mai was dressed what seemed to be wrapping's black shirt underneath, basically what Kurenai wears instead of red color. "It is black, and the reason I am doing this cause I am lazy. Unless anyone can come with a different attire which sounds good, then I am all ears." Also, Mai had black hair and red spiral eyes, which looked kind of funky to Naruto. Genma was satisfied at her answer. She seemed like a level-headed shinobi and wasn't like most girls her age, who were too busy chasing the rookies of the year if they were male. "Okay, your next, white hair." Genma motioned towards Raiden, who had this huge smirk on his face. "Okay, my name is Kagura Raiden. My likes consist of telling jokes and listening to jokes. My favorite jokes are knock-knock jokes. My dislikes are people who can't appreciate a good knock-knock joke, and my dreams for the future is write the ultimate joke book." Raiden finished with huge giggle and looking quite insane. He had white spiky hair and sky blue eyes. His facial features were normal. It was his attire that was weird. He had a hakama that was dark blue in color. Genma was thinking, man, does this guy want to become a shinobi or a comedian? He then pointed towards Naruto, indicating him to do the same. Naruto's intro is same as in the manga and anime. After satisfied at their answer, he told them to meet up tomorrow 9 p.m. sharp, as they were going to do a survival exercise to see if they were worthy as shinobi, to which he left in a cloud of smoke. This left the three genin by themselves. Mai stopped Naruto, who was going to go home, go over some tactics for tomorrow. "Hey guys, why don't we go and have some ramen together so we can get to know each other better?" Mai asked them. Naruto, who would never turn down ramen and a chance to make friends, promptly accepted with big yes. Raiden didn't mind whatsoever, but did say he would go only if Naruto accepted on one condition, which would be to hear a knock-knock joke. Naruto accepted, trying to see if he was any good at telling jokes. Okay Naruto, here I go," Raiden said excitedly, not missing an opportunity of telling his favorite jokes. "Knock knock. Who's there?" "Doris." "Doris who?" "Doris locked. That's why I had to knock." With that, Raiden promptly fell to the ground laughing like a hyena, thinking that this was the best joke in the world. However, Naruto and Mai thought that was the worst joke in the world. So on their little ramen excursion they got to know each other a little better and quickly becoming fast friends. Genma, who was looking at the three shinobi, was smiling thinking that their teamwork would be excellent knowing that they were already becoming good friends. With that Genma ran towards the Hokage tower already giving his verdict if he would pass the team. A grin crossed his face knowing that he got quite an easy team. None of them were dropouts and none of them were antisocial, which boded well to Senbon Shinobi. When Naruto went home he couldn't fight the grin that formed on his face. Even though he was separated from three of his other friends, he had gained two really great friends who would become his comrades. Naruto, who was walking back home, looked towards the Hokage monument, brought his hand up to make a fist and declared to the night sky, "I am going to protect my teammates no matter what, no one's going to hurt my precious people." With his new promise and lifestyle Naruto ran home to have some dinner. "You're home, how did you find your new teammates and sensei?" Kurenai asked her younger sister. Mai proceeded to tell her sister about her new teammates and how great they were. "Get this, big sister, Naruto-san likes ramen as well, lucky isn't it?" a happy Mai exclaimed to her sister. "Plus big sister, they are both really strong, I can tell it's going to be fun to spar against them," Mai complimented her new friends. Kurenai could only smile at her little sister enthusiasm. "Yo dad, I am home," shouted back an enthusiastic Raiden. "Raiden, tell me who your teammates are and your Junin sensei," Kagura Reitaro asked in a gruff voice. Not really caring for his son's introductions. Reitaro had been like that since day one and wouldn't change. Reitaro was a tall and muscular man, which earned him a few fangirls back in the day. But now he had a box goatee with completely shaven head. Apparently Reitaro was running for best final boss imitation. The man looked like a final boss from a game that you would hate to fight. Reitaro wore the same outfit as Raiden, instead the color was dark red. "Wow dad, no hellos. No, how are you? Yeesh, hey, how about I tell you a new joke?" Raiden said with a mischievous face as rubbed his hands. No matter what happened, Raiden would tell his dad a new joke every time he came home. "Raiden!" Reitaro shouted at his son's stupidity and most of all his joke telling. God, sometimes his jokes were worse than a D-rank mission, Reitaro mumbled in his head, as he would rather go through that than his son's lame jokes. Whoa, chill dad, do you have kunai stuck up your butt?" Raiden asked, a bit annoyed. But then realized he had to write that down, so he grabbed a pen and book from his pocket and decided to write his comedy down. "Honey, calm down, your son just came back. Sometimes you're like a raging bull, you know that." Kagura Yuri came into the dojo to scold her husband. Kagura Yuri was the epitome of mature beauty. Even though she was in her mid-30s towards her late, she still made guys turn heads and wish they could talk to her for as long as they could. But the woman simply oozed of motherly goodness. She walked in and grabbed Raiden's face and rubbed some dirt of it. Of course the lighting prodigy squirmed. Yuri simply wore a plain dress with an apron over her clothes. "I am sorry, I don't know how to write women's clothes." After Raiden told them about his new teammates, his father had a thinking pose on. "Uzumaki Naruto Reitaro questioned as he rubbed his chin and go into his thinking pose. Raiden immediately copied his dad, which earned him a super heated glare from his dad. "Yeah dad, he's super cool and he laughed at one of my jokes, besides he's really strong, I can tell he has chakra oozing out of him," Raiden replied back in an excited voice. Reitaro nodded as he saw his son's excited face. He would have to tell him about Naruto's power. "Son, you know that crater in the middle of the forest where now plants grow?" Reitaro questioned his son, while giving him a piercing look which would make any normal man sweat bullets. "Yeah, the one that appeared about 3 or so years ago," Raiden answered back to his father with a confused look. Raiden didn't know where his father was going with this. Ever since that day they were forbidden from going to that area. The earth doesn't allow anything to grow in that crater and some people called it cursed. But Raiden knew that because of residual chakra no flora could grow in that crater. "Yes, that one. You know Uzumaki Naruto did that apparently while trying come up with a new technique, Reitaro clarified to his son who started shaking from the news. Raiden couldn't believe it. To do something like that it must have used a lot of chakra. That would be beyond an academy-level technique. Reitaro looked at his son as he saw his hands start to shake. Are you scared of your new teammate? Reitaro asked, genuinely concerned about his son. Are you joking? No, I shaking with excitement about how powerful my new comrade is, Raiden said, almost jumping for joy, about learning how powerful Naruto really is. Inside Reitaro he knew how his son loved to test his limits and fight for the fun that's why he was really strong and would only get strong. Don't underestimate your other teammate as well, son. She is said to be a genius of Kenjutsu and excels greatly in Genjutsu. Reitaro already knew who his son's teammates were and sensei. He just wanted to know his son's opinion. When you pass, sweetie, you can invite your friends and sensei over for dinner, so we can all get to know them better, Yuri said to her son in a motherly tone. She had a big smile plastered on her face. Sure, that would be great, Mum. Hey, do you guys want to hear about why the chicken crossed the road? Beep. Beep. A loud ringing sound went throughout the whole of Naruto's apartment. Doris. Huh, what, aw man, that damn alarm again, it's only 6 a.m. It had taken 2 years to realize that his clock alarm only went off at 6. Like many things in his house, it was defective. Even though he still had the Hokage's card, he didn't want to spend it on stupid things. So he was waiting to become a shinobi to start spoiling himself into buying stupid things. Oh well, I guess I can go early and try and talk to my new friends if they're there. Naruto whispers to himself. After having a light breakfast to make sure he doesn't puke his guts after having a big breakfast. Leaves his apartment with the staff of Shadaime strapped behind his back and his new leaf headband across his forehead. Racing towards the meeting spot, eagerly waiting for an opportunity to talk to his friends. As Naruto neared the spot, he realized he was the only one there. He looked at his watch to realize it was only 6:45. Crap. Naruto thought he came too early. He thought it would have been 7:30. Naruto was lucky that Raiden and Mai seemed to arrive just 5 minutes after Naruto had come here. So they chatted for 2 hours about each other and what they thought this survival exercise was. When Genma Sensei arrived at 9 p.m. sharp, damn, this guy was by the book. Good, you guys came early, that means you're serious. I like that, Genma said in his usual bored tone. Okay, the meaning of this test is to see if you're capable of passing my test. Now the test is simple enough. The person who can steal my Senbon needle passes. If none of you get a Senbon, none of you pass. As Genma explained the rules to get his Senbon needle, everyone looked ready to take the challenge. However, each one of you will have a disability coming into this test. Naruto, you will be blindfolded, cutting of your eyesight. Raiden, I will be giving you some earplugs and putting a genjutsu that inhibits your hearing. Lastly, my eye will be putting a silence jutsu on you so you can't speak. So everyone clear on that? All the assembled genin were shocked that they had to have these drawbacks on to do the test. Okay, now that you have your restraints on, you should come with me with everything you got. The time is 9:20. You have until 12:20 to pass. Begin. Genma shouted out to begin. Even though shinobi should conceal themselves, Naruto couldn't really conceal himself while being blind. When he went to hide, he tripped on a branch and fell, promptly knocking himself out. Genma was thinking, damn, maybe I should have let him got used to the blindfold. Oh well. Genma, who was standing in the middle of the field waiting for the other two to come and attack him, was not disappointed when Raiden came out declaring he would win with a huge shout. Fine then, Raiden, come at me with everything you have, Genma said in a low voice, waiting for Raiden to respond. What did you say? Raiden shouted out, unable to understand Genma. Genma just smirked at his potential student's stupidity. Oh man, I am an evil bastard, Genma thought to himself, thinking he could have fun with his students. I said your mother's a whore, Genma said with a small smile. Raiden, not able to understand his sensei, was starting to piss him off, so he went on the offensive using his family's prized lightning technique. Lightning release. Lightning wave. Genma, hearing Raiden shout his jutsu, merely sidestepped and appeared behind Raiden without him noticing. Raiden's attack formed of electricity forming in his hand and released a wave of it across the found at an alarming pace. But he saw Genma-sensei was no longer there. Genma, not allowing Raiden any more time, knocked him out with the back of his hand. It was then he was my jump down and look at him with mild irritation. Mai had the easiest restriction, she didn't need anyone to help her with. But that was the whole point, he wanted to get Mai overconfident so she could mess up. With that, Mai charged him with both of her blades drawn ready to attack. Genma merely jumped over her and proceeded to make the handicap on her more noticeable. So Mai-san, you're charging me with Kenjutsu? I guess Genjutsu really is the worst of techniques. Genma taunted her in a bored tone. Upon hearing her sensei say this made her mad and she proceeded to lecture him. Genma smiled inside himself, knowing exactly what response he was getting. Sorry Mai-san, I can't hear you, why don't you speak a bit louder? Genma kept up the verbal torment. Mai, unable to keep her anger in check, blindly rushed him with rage. Genma, satisfied at the reaction of his student, knocked her out easily with a kick and ran away from the clearing to search for the last of the trio. Hopefully the said person was awake. Naruto, who was now awake and presently pissed off with himself for getting knocked out like such an idiot. Oh, so you're awake? Naruto heard his sensei speak but did not know where it was coming from. He jumped, brought the staff of the first from his back and started to tap the ground. Genma was impressed that he was trying to find him by tapping the ground to see if he was near him. After a while Naruto stopped and said, Yutsusemi no Jutsu, projection technique, so you're projecting your voice to confuse me. Nice try sensei, but I wasn't bumped up a grade for nothing. Naruto said in a confident voice, but inside he was nervous. Naruto knew he couldn't beat a Junin even without the blindfold there had to be. Genma, who was watching Naruto from a tree, realized Naruto got the meaning of the exercise, waited for him to make the next move. Naruto needed to regroup quickly, so quickly bid his sensei a farewell. Well sensei, I love to stay and chat, but seeing as I am on the clock I have to make a plan, so bye bye. With that Naruto disappeared in a storm of leaves. Genma thought. Body flicker, not bad, but it is a D rank technique, but that's no ordinary body flicker. Naruto appeared before both his teammates, who seemed to getting up. He needed to tell them the real reason for their handicaps and why this test was so damn hard. Listen guys, I think I know the reason for this exercise, Naruto told his teammates, forgetting that Raiden couldn't hear. What did you say? Raiden shouted out towards Naruto, whose ears started ringing from Raiden's shouting. Naruto looked a little pissed off because of Raiden's shouting. Mai, who tapped him on the shoulder to get his attention, seemed to have a pen and paper in her, motioning that she would translate and write her opinions on the paper for Naruto. Naruto smiled at his friend's quick thinking and commented, at least someone's using her head. To which he got a cute smile from his friend. Genma, who watching Naruto explain the handicaps, smiled, thinking they had already passed, but he needed them to show him how strong they were. He decided to wait in clearing for his students to arrive and fight him, was not disappointed when all three students arrived circling him. It was Raiden who attacked first using a different type of lightning technique, lightning release, lightning bullet. Raiden seemed to release lightning balls from his hands and shoot them towards Genma, dodging them with ease. When he released that, Mai had placed a genjutsu on him which made him see all the kids 30 feet tall with evil grins on their face. He quickly released the genjutsu to see Naruto nowhere. Doden. Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, Earth Release, Inner Decapitation Technique. Naruto's hands were below ground, but of course if you can't see your opponent you have to feel his chakra, so these two were supposed to divert my attention from Naruto so he could do this jutsu. This was what Genma was thinking when he was pulled down into the ground. So sensei, do we pass? Naruto said with a cocky grin towards his sensei as Mai reached down to retrieve the Senbon needle from his mouth. However, as she went to get it, her sensei exploded into smoke. Naruto, noticing the sound of the exploding, gritted his teeth and said, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, that bastard used my favorite. Naruto was unable to finish his sentence when he heard a loud ringing sound go off, indicating that the time was up. Both Mai and Naruto put their heads down while Raiden looked confused. Genma appeared before all three of them with a neutral expression on his face. He proceeded to take both jutsus of Raiden and Mai and took out the earplugs and blindfold of Naruto. Raiden had finally got why his two other teammates looked down when Genma said the alarm went off. Well, that's the end of time and none of you have my Senbon needles, you know what that means. When Genma had said that, they all looked heartbroken, knowing that they would have to be sent back to the academy even after their hard work. You pass, Genma finished with a smile on his face. Both Mai and Raiden looked shocked while Naruto looked really relieved. So I was right, it was a test of our teamwork more than anything else. When I thought about it, it made sense why you put all those handicaps on. In a sense, we all needed each other to get a Senbon needle because together we make one shinobi. But you knew we would never pass with our handicaps, isn't that right, Genma-sensei? Naruto asked his sensei with a smile. Genma's smile got broader at Naruto's speech. You're right, Naruto, you got everything right. I am sure that's how you convinced your teammates. Good Team 5, you have really outshined more than anything else. Tomorrow we will start our mission. As of now, I suggest you go and celebrate your victory. Bye bye. With that said and done, their cool sensei left them to their own devices. All the genins around did a group hug and cheered one and another for doing a job well done. In Raiden's mind, he kept thinking about how cool both his teammates were and that Mai was really cute. Mai, who was jumping up and down, was thinking the exact same thing as Raiden. Even though he was a bit goofy, his hair looked really cool. Naruto was just reveling in the fact he became Genin, was on his way to become Hokage and make the old man retire. Hey guys, before I forget, why don't you come over to my place to celebrate? My mum and dad should be home and they said they wanted to meet you, Raiden asked them, interrupting everyone out of their thoughts. Mai and Naruto agreed, but Naruto inside his head he was reluctant. Would Raiden's parents hate him as well as the villagers? As they were walking to Raiden's house, Raiden was going to tell them another joke. At that moment they wished Genma-sensei had taught them that jutsu which makes them deaf. Okay guys, this is not one of my normal jokes, but it is my A+ material. Okay, here goes, Raiden said with a huge grin. The teacher asks little Kono, which body part goes to heaven first? Little Kono replies, the feet, miss. So the teacher says, why the feet? And little Kono says, because when I go in my mummy's bedroom at night she has her legs in the air shouting, oh my god, I'm coming. When Raiden said that joke he was laughing so hard he had tears coming from his eyes. Mai, who was looking at Raiden with disgust at such a vile joke, she thought Naruto might share her opinion. Ha 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 ha, Raiden, that was wicked. Do you have any more little Kono jokes? Naruto was literally laughing so hard that his sides were hurting. Sadly, Raiden said that was his only little Kono jokes, but decided to tell his lame ass knock knock jokes. Mom. Dad, I am home. I also brought my teammates home. We passed the test as well, Raiden said in an excited voice, when in mid-30s women came in and hugged her son with delight at him passing. When she finished hugging her son, she ushered the three shinobi to the living room and told them they would be having lunch and dinner. Mai unfortunately said she could not stay for dinner because she and her sister were going out to celebrate but would stay for lunch. Lunch was a sordid affair with Raiden's mom trying to stuff them silly and attacking like a mum would. She would often tell Naruto that he must a girlfriend because he looked too cute to pass up. Also, Reitaro congratulated all the genin for being able to see the true meaning of the test. To this, Naruto was shocked that Raiden's parents didn't hate him but actually liked him and said that I should come over more often, including Mai as well. It was when Raiden went to drop off Mai, because of Kagura Yuri telling her son that a man should always escort a lady home, that one of the most prettiest girls walked in. Her name was Chidori Kagura and was Raiden's older sister who was in Anbu. From what Raiden told him, she was 15 and really strong. Unlike her brother and father, she had long blue hair. To Naruto, she had one the most sexist rumps in the world. The second person that had such an ass was Tenten. Right now he was sitting next to her while she was watching TV. He couldn't help but think she was pretty. He wondered if she had a boyfriend. So you're my little brother's teammate. I heard about you, Uzumaki Naruto. You're supposed to be quite the genius with you being bumped up a grade, Chidori said with the sexiest smile on her face. Naruto started blushing and said yes. Chidori found it cute that the little kid found her attractive. She decided to torture the young boy by rubbing her hand over his crotch and saying that she could show him skills that you can't find in scrolls. To this, Naruto got up and sputtered that her father was calling him. Dinner was a very precious event to Naruto. Naruto, who had never experienced a family dinner, found it funny with people exchanging stories, siblings squabbling with one another. All in all, Naruto found out dinner was a lovely event. But there was one event that seemed to stick in Naruto's mind. When Naruto was eating his food, he could feel someone's feet stroking his leg. He knew it was Chidori because she was sitting opposite and was talking to her mother like she was doing nothing. Raiden and his dad were talking about shinobi tactics and what to expect on missions. Naruto could feel her feet slowly get up and reach his crotch. Naruto, who had a tinge of pink on his face, could help but enjoy the sensation. His inner pervert was singing songs of happiness. When Naruto went home, he could only think why girls seemed to tease him and like to see him flustered. Well, only the good-looking ones and ones who are really great to talk. Naruto in his mind liked both Tenten and Chidori, but which was one better and flirtier? Yes, Naruto's inner pervert was running rampant in Naruto's mind. To say the three genins were pissed would be an understatement. After doing 2.5 months of D-rank missions, they were sick of doing the most tedious work that even an idiot could do. The only highlight of the month for Naruto was his solo training and training with his team. Also, his encounter with the ever-flirty Tenten, who seemed to love makes Naruto's life a personal hell from her little actions. It was when he was having ramen when she came full-forced and flirty as hell. She literally plumped her round bottom on Naruto's lap and saying how she missed him and all that fake junk. What she was really doing was grinding her bottom on Naruto's crotch, trying to get him excited, and of course Naruto, who was a closet pervert, couldn't resist the sexy female's teasing. Naruto had also developed a couple of new jutsu and moves. He was also proud that he had finally mastered his staff perfectly and was a force to be reckoned with. However, he was only releasing 11 chakra because he still found the weights too much to handle. He also found out that both his teammates were strong when spared against them. But when he went to the office of the Hokage, all three of his teammates protested that they needed more kick-ass missions. It was there that they got their first C-rank mission, which was to investigate who was stealing crops from a local village. It was here that would define all three genins and make them real shinobi. Apparently the village was on the outskirts of Fire Country and was a farming village that supplied quite a lot of food to the whole country, so it was quite an important mission that seemed to get everyone's gears running. Wow, I never really been outside the village, but I kind of feel liberated and so excited for this mission, Naruto said with huge excitement and his eyes closed while walking. All three people smiled at Naruto's speech. They might have not looked like it, but they were very close, almost a family. It was funny, their teamwork seemed to click, with each of them able to handle anyone when they were together. Genma smiled at himself. His first priority was teamwork, then giving individual jutsus they could use. He found out Naruto had an ability to soak up ninjutsus even though he had no ability in lightning justice and minimal ability in genjutsus. Genma found out he knew no water technique, and when he showed him how to do it, he found out Naruto was doing water techniques without a water source. Naruto started crying, saying he could have learned some awesome water techniques. Genma found out Raiden was the medium of the group. He was good at everything but excelled in taijutsu. He had this freakish strength which made sense because of his ripped muscles, and for 12-year-old to be so ripped was kind of scary. Hell, Naruto and Genma were probably toned, but Raiden could probably compete in some Mr. Universe contest. So when their teamwork exercise finished, he told Raiden to find a weapon he could use and gave him some taijutsu stances and moves. Raiden promptly took up nunchucks mostly by Naruto and Mai's recommendation. However, his ninjutsu was lacking the most. His only element was lightning, and he had no other element to use. When he tried to teach him other elements, he simply couldn't do it. But his mastery of the lightning element was outstanding and he had many moves to use from it. Genma knew his family were brilliant with electric-type jutsus. The female of the group was also surprisingly strong. From what Genma found out, Kurenai trained her sister well and made sure she was not some damsel in distress. She was funny one because she was the only one in the group which seemed to be normal. Hell, even he was weird. He would tell the group really bizarre stories that seemed far-fetched. Mai's taijutsu was the weakest in the group, but she made it up with her speed and mastery of the swords. It was her ability with the katana, which made her a deadly opponent. However, she did not have a large chakra capacity, so she could not do many ninjutsu. So Genma told her to focus on genjutsu and kenjutsu. However, Mai asking him a question broke him from his chain of thoughts. "Gen-sensei, how much further to the village?" Mai asked in a curious voice. "Well, Mai, it will take us another day just to get there, and seeing as it's the afternoon, we are going to set up camp nearby, okay?" Even though both Genin sighed in frustration, Genma noticed that Naruto seemed somewhat giddy. As they settled down in an area and Raiden fetched water in a basket, Genma seemed really curious why Naruto was so happy. "Hey Naruto, why are you so happy? People usually don't like to sleep in sleeping bags and camp, especially shinobi," Genma asked Naruto, also voicing the opinions of both other genin. "Well, this is like a camping trip and I never went camping before, even in the academy, so this like my first ever camping and I am spending it with my friends, so yeah, I am really happy," Naruto explained with a big grin on his face. Both of the other genins had sad look on their faces when he said that. They knew that he was an orphan and no normal orphan either. Apparently he was hated by the villagers, some bizarre reason or so. Genma was thinking something different. He's just like me, an orphan never experiencing a true childhood. The whole team was huddled around a fire having their food, which was fish that was caught by Naruto, who was really good with his staff and said he was a master of bojutsu and jojutsu. Lucky enough, Mai had brought some marshmallows and they were roasting nicely on the fire. Now that they had finished their meal, they were all swapping stories when Naruto asked his sensei if he had a girlfriend before. "Actually, yes, I did have a girlfriend. Her name was Yuri. God, I really liked her," Genma said with a big smile. All the genins had a bad feeling where this was going. "So what happened?" Naruto asked. He had a tinge of sadness in his voice. "It was a S-rank mission. She and her squad were supposed to assassinate a missing nin and Genma said in a sad voice. "She was killed then." Mai finished with her heart-wrenching and close to tears, knowing the shinobi life was hard on everyone. "She eloped with the Anbu captain," Genma finished with a bored tone. It took about a minute for them to register what their sensei said. "Whaat." A huge shout from the genins echoed through area. "What do you think all stories end with the girl dying?" Genma said in strange voice. To that response they all asked why did he have to tell such weird stories. The next day the team had arrived at the village to see quite normal and humble people there, who welcomed the Konoha shinobi with open arms. The team went to investigate what happened in the area to see normal bandits stealing crops, so they had to wait it out. But something wasn't right. Even though the villagers seemed to be very humble, they looked like they would be attacked any moment. "Man, this village is weird. I mean," Naruto did not finish his sentence, as he seemed to bump into a person who fell over. The said person was a beautiful woman that had striking red hair and sea blue eyes. Right now she was wearing a robe that had a hood on. "Sorry, I wasn't watching where I was going. I should." Naruto started to apologize to the women but was cut off by her. "Well, maybe you should have been walking properly instead of daydreaming." The angry women responded towards Naruto and walked off in huff and puff. "Wow, what crawled up her ass and died?" Raiden said while taking out his pen and little book to write down what he said while giggling maniacally. Don't know, but something tells me she isn't normal, because she tried to pickpocket me, but I replaced it with blank scrolls and I even took her wallet, Naruto said while holding the hidden thief's wallet with a big grin. I guess no one ever told her to never pickpocket a shinobi, Genma said in with striking grin with his Senbon needle in between his teeth. Heh, sorry kid, but I need to get of this backwater village, and the woman reached inside her pocket to find scrolls. She had then realized that the kid she tried to pickpocketed her. With a groan she quickly ran back to see all four people looking back at her with a big grin. Okay, I guess I did a bad thing, just give me back my stuff and we can forget about this ever happening, okay, the women said to the rest of the group. Naruto and friends just looked at each other until they heard a huge scream. Naruto didn't even think twice, he threw the women's purse back at her and ran towards the scream. The rest of the team went to investigate, leaving the thief behind, whom strangely enough run to the scream as well. When Team 6 reached the field where the scream originated, they saw what seemed to be a bunch of 25 thugs holding a girl hostage. Okay, we asked nicely to give us everything you have, now we have to this girl, pretty little head, thug number 1 said in a menacing voice. What girl? A voice said, and when the thug looked down in his hands he found that he was holding onto a log instead of a girl. Huh, damn shinobi, you shouldn't mess with us, we are the feared group, the Red Fire, thug number 2 shouted out loud. The assembled shinobi just raised their eyebrow, now it was C rank, they were common people with no special abilities. Team 6 declared they were to leave this village alone and never come back. Of course this did not bode well for the apparently infamous group, so they all charged them, one throwing a knife that was deflected by a Genma Senbon, which he spitted from his mouth. The Genins each took on 5 thugs while Genma took on remaining 10. Naruto charged the 5 thugs he chose with his staff out. Unfortunately for the thugs, because he was good with his staff, they had no chance and were promptly knocked out effortlessly. Naruto looked around at the beaten 5 thugs and was disappointed that he knocked them out too quickly. Aw man, and here I was thinking I could use one of my awesome new jutsus, Naruto thought dejectedly. The same situation was with the rest of Team 6 as Raiden used his freakish strength to knock his 5 thugs out. Mai used a genjutsu on her 5 thugs to puke their guts out, at seeing their personal hell, and collapsed due to the mental strain, and Genma, well, he just threw Senbon needles in their neck to knock them out, thus ending their reign of terror. Well, that was an anticlimax and a half, Raiden said in a disappointed tone. Well, this is a C rank mission, what do you expect, some high-class shinobis, Mai replied back with teasing smile. At this, Raiden pouted like a little kid. He's kind of cute he does that, Mai thought to herself with a tinge of pink on her face. She quickly reprimanded herself for thinking such thoughts about the clown known as Raiden. The hooded woman looked awed by the shinobi's display and thought, yes, these guys can help, they are strong enough to do it, and then I will be free, plus they are Konoha shinobis, the village I wanted to go. The villagers seemed to erupt in cheers and thanked their new heroes and heroine. Genma tied the thugs up and sent a messenger bird to Konoha to send Anbu, so they could send the thugs to maximum security prison mine where they would spend their whole natural life mining ore. Seeing as they did a job well done, they headed home to get some R&R for a job well done. They started to leave the village gates when Naruto asked a question. Hey Genma-sensei, why were the villagers so happy that we defeated such weak bastards? Naruto asked in his idiot voice. Well, Naruto, those people there are farmers, not fighters. I wouldn't be surprised if they never lifted a weapon before, Genma explained to Naruto in a bored tone. Heeeeey, they all heard a voice shout and turned around to find the hooded thief running towards them. She stopped right in front of them and knelt down to catch her breath. I am really sorry I pickpocketed you, but I could really use your help. You see, I wish to seek asylum in Konoha village, and seeing as you guys are really strong, I can get there safely. The hooded woman decided to tell the 4 shinobis her plight. Okay, I see where you're coming from, but we are shinobi and this will cost you. Usually we do a background check, but seeing as you probably don't want to be attacked and raped by bandits, we will take you to Konoha, however it will cost you, Genma said to the women in indifferent tone. The hooded women looked at the Junin-level shinobi and sighed in defeat and took out a necklace with a weird-looking stone attached. She explained it was a family heirloom and that it could buy you 3 mountains seeing as it was a precious stone. Seeing that stone confirmed Genma's suspicions about the women. He knew she wasn't normal and now she had a priceless family heirloom. Even though he had Genins with him, he knew he shouldn't risk the life of his comrades. But something in him said that he should help her, and being a Konoha shinobi he had a big sense of honor within in him to help the helpless. Besides, his Genins would never forgive him. Not just that, Genma also noticed that even with a hooded robe on she was really hot. Hey, he is a man, and men do have perverted desires. Okay, I accept, but until otherwise this AB rank mission, seeing as we have no idea what might happen. Okay Team 6, we have bodyguard mission back to Konoha, so stay sharp, Genma said in his usual bored tone. Thank you so much for your kindness. Oh, how rude of me. My name is Sakazaki Maki, replied the red-headed thief. So she hired some Konoha brats hehehehe, well they will be no match to the might of rain shinobis, said a person covered in black while looking down at the group of 5. All that was heard throughout the forest was Raiden's hyena-like laugh. The rest of the group were walking and listening to Raiden's jokes that seemed to make them want to kill themselves. It was while they were walking, they were stopped by 4 rain shinobi who appeared before them, each one of them surrounding them. From what Genma could see, there were 1 Junin shinobi and 3 low-level Chunin. Genma now started to get worried for his comrade's sake. I think you should hand over the princess to us, and maybe we might let you go, the Rain Junin spoke out to the group. The whole of Team 6 was shocked that they were harboring the village of Rain's princess. Please don't let them take me back, I have a bloodline limit they want. My father was going to have produce as many male babies as possible from various shinobi. Please don't let them rape me, the 25-year-old red-headed princess cried out to her companions. After hearing her confessions of running away, the whole group surrounded her and promised nothing would ever happen to her. Genma motioned for his Genins to fight one-on-one. Hey, you're going to fight us? What a joke, the Rain Nin laughed out loud. It was then that the 2 teams fought each other. I have heard about you, you're supposed to be Konoha's pressure point fighter Shiranui Genma. It will be an honor to kill such powerful Junin. With that they exchanged blows and jutsu, both equaling each other out. Hey little boy, I suggest you run away and stop playing ninja, he. The Rain Nin taunted Raiden, who looked like he was already bored. Not waiting for this guy to say another cliché line, he charged him with lightning energy in his hand and punched him square in the face. The Rain Nin, not expecting the kid to make the first move, and so quickly took the lightning full forced. The Rain Shinobi was not happy man and charged Raiden. Raiden, who was not used to such speed, barely dodged the man's punch but threw him over a long distance. You clearly tell this guy was no Chunin but some Genin who probably failed the exam over and over again. The Rain Genin was not pleased one bit to fight such a powerful shinobi. Mai was panting so hard and Barley was keeping up, she could tell her chakra was on low and she needed to finish this. She looked towards the Rain Shinobi to see he was also tired out. Good, Mai thought, but I guess I have to use that just to. Mai finished thinking and did a series of intricate hand seals and whispered. Megan. Jubaku Satsu, demonic illusion, tree bind death. The Rain Shinobi never had a chance. He was surrounded by what seemed to be tree trunks that came out of nowhere and grabbed him. Mai appeared out of the tree and quickly killed him with a kunai. Mai's hands were shaking after she killed the man. Even though she knew she had to kill him, it still hurt her that she had to take the life of a shinobi. Naruto was easily overpowering the guy and he seemed to have underestimated him. The Rain Nin got up battered, bruised and bleeding. He looked at Naruto with so much rage it looked like his eyes would pop. You stupid kid, I going to rip your throat out. The Rain Shinobi ran at Naruto blindly. This was a perfect for who gathered chakra in his fist. Uzumaki clan jutsu. Chakra geyser. Naruto proceeded by punching the ground 3 times, releasing a bigger wave of chakra each time. The effect was that the nin blown away and his body was left burning. Naruto did not even spare a glance at the dead Rain Nin. He knew he had to do this. This was the life of a shinobi. Genma looked back at his opponent who seemed shocked and couldn't move. What did you do to me? The Rain Nin asked in a fearful voice. I pressed several pressure points in your body. You only have 10 seconds to live. I suggest you use this time wisely to repent on your sins. As Genma said this, the Rain Nin seemed to stop and collapse on the floor and die. Maki was shocked. She knew these shinobis were strong, but she defeated them with little effort. She was so glad that she was safe in their presence. Everyone seemed to dispose of their opponent without much injury. Only Mai and Raiden seemed to be a bit tired. Everyone was going to celebrate their victory when they saw 25 Rain Chunin appear before them, all wearing big grins. This is bad, Genma thought, looking at these Chunin. Genma knew he and his team couldn't take on all these Chunins. Genma-sensei, Naruto said while looking towards Genma. Genma, who was looking towards Naruto, knew what the boy was thinking and quickly told Mai and Raiden to lead all the shinobi around Naruto. Confused at both Genma and Naruto's behavior, did as they were told and had Naruto surrounded by the various Rain shinobi and quickly withdrew. Naruto, who saw all the Rain shinobi around him, still saw quite a few fighting Genma and Raiden, but in the end they all surrounded him. Hey shinobi of Leaf, we have one of your comrades surrounded, a Rain Nin shouted at Genma with an arrogant smirk. Genma was worried that Naruto might hurt himself doing this and prayed to God that he would be okay. Genma-sensei, why did we have the Rain Nin surround Naruto? What is he going to do? Mai asked in a fearful whisper. Just watch, was Genma's only response. You guys should not have messed with my friends. I am going to show you just who I really am, Naruto said in a whisper, and before anyone could respond, Naruto whispered something else. Uzumaki Clan Forbidden Jutsu, Raging Storm. Naruto shouted out the last sentence and then slammed the ground, letting all his chakra pour into the ground. The effect was that the Rain Nin were completely burnt and destroyed by the immense chakra. The rest of Team 6 and Maki were looking at the blue fire chakra that seemed to erupt from the ground. When the dust and chakra cleared, there only seemed to be two shinobi left, one who was standing, the other was on the ground. Who the hell are you? The Rain Nin asked. I am Konoha's Raging Storm, Naruto said to the man and wobbled over to the group, who looked awed by Naruto's technique. Naruto proceeded to throw up all his guts and collapse. Naruto, Raiden and Mai screamed, but Genma got there first and told him he collapsed due to chakra exhaustion and threw up because he killed 20 shinobi. The remaining 5 would live on to spread word of a new shinobi who came from Leaf, a shinobi of frightful power. With that, the rest of the Leaf shinobi took Naruto home and the princess. Naruto woke up to find himself in a white room that flooded his vision. His whole body felt so weak, like he had no energy left. So you're awake? You had your me and your whole team worried, a feminine voice said to his right. Naruto opened his eyes again and his blurry vision cleared to see. Maki Haim, what are you doing here? Where is here, by the way? Naruto asked in a confused voice while looking at Maki. Maki started laughing at Naruto's confused sentence. Maki went on to explain that they were in Konoha Hospital and that he had been out for a week due to chakra exhaustion. When Naruto asked why she was still here, she said she was now a citizen of Konoha. Naruto noticed that Maki still had her necklace and asked, Hey Maki Haim, why do you still have your necklace? Did you not exchange it? Naruto asked with genuine curiosity. He noticed that Maki's smile grew even bigger. Well, because it is my precious family heirloom. I was allowed to keep it, but I have to repay Konoha for the A-rank mission I requested. So I am going to open up a restaurant. I can sell some of my precious jewelry to start up. Naruto had big smile on his face when he heard Maki say those words. He found out that Maki never left his side and was worried that he might not make it. Naruto looked to his left to see that there were many cards and flowers from his friends. He smiled to himself, knowing that there were people out there that cared for him. It had been a week since Naruto was let out of the hospital. He was now training as much as he could. Genma had them started of chakra control exercise, namely the tree climbing exercise. Naruto, whose chakra control was rubbish, felt a huge difference when trying jutsu. Apparently when he was developing jutsus he found out that they were very difficult to use. Now when he did them they were so easy to perform because he was pouring the right amount of chakra. But he still had difficulty doing some jutsus, which meant that he still needed to do more chakra control exercises. Currently he was training with his team and by himself. His teamwork had improved greatly, as his teammates knew exactly what his styles were and vice versa. Naruto's chakra weight capacity seemed to shoot up from low percentage to 15. His young body was now starting to grow as well, meaning he could take the weight. Even though he was nowhere as built as Raiden, he was very muscular for an 11-year-old. The date was now 10th of October and Naruto currently forgot how important today was, but it would soon be a date he would look forward to for years to come. Our hero of the story was currently training deep in the forest trying to perfect his newest technique. Genma, who was currently watching Naruto, saw him disappear. He looked around but he didn't see him, but at the last second he seemed to come landing from the sky with blinding light forming in his hand. When he landed onto the ground it seemed to create a huge crater. Damn Naruto, are you sure you have enough jutsu? I mean, how many do you have now? Genma shouted out to a Naruto who was at the epicenter of the crater. Yo Genma sensei, what brings you here? You told us that we had no team training or missions today. Naruto asked with a confused face. Hey, can't a sensei just see if his student is okay? Genma told Naruto with a small smile. To that he received a trademark Uzumaki grin. So sensei, what did you want to talk about? Naruto questioned his sensei. Well, I wanted to see if you were okay. I've been meaning to tell you that. Well, I am proud of you, Naruto, Genma said in a calm tone while looking towards the sky. Sensei. Naruto was happy that his sensei thought so highly of him. You see, Naruto, you're a lot like me in a sense. I was an orphan as well and I never knew who my family were. Not just that, but I had to become stronger on my own, so Naruto, I admire you for that. Naruto was shocked at his sensei's words but was not able to answer back. It took me a long time to realize I had to be strong on my own and that I needed to prove I was worthy. You see, when the Genin teams were being decided, I begged Sandame to be your sensei. I really want to see you grow and become a great shinobi. I also don't want you to be like me. I want to help you grow into a strong person. Genma finished and looked towards Naruto, who was just smiling. Naruto felt elated at his sensei's words. Everything was going right, his dream was becoming a reality slowly, and then people will know the name Uzumaki Naruto. Come on Naruto, we are going to have lunch at Raiden's place. He told me that we should all have lunch there, Genma said in his usual cool tone. Okay sensei, is my there as well? Naruto asked his sensei. He got a nod from his sensei. You think that there's something going on between those two? They seem awfully close lately, Naruto asked his sensei while walking towards Raiden's house. Who knows, those two, they are weird in that sense, Genma said in his bored tone. Oh, what about you and Maki Hime? I see that you're at her restaurant a lot lately. What's that about? Naruto asked his sensei, trying to make him blush. Yeah, well, I am trying to have sex with her. You know, she is really hot, Genma replied back in a voice with no emotion whatsoever. Naruto, who was an innocent boy, looked weirdly at sensei's blatant answer. Damn it sensei, why do you have to give weird answers? Naruto asked in an annoyed tone. Naruto just received a typical Genma look that just screamed, you wanted to know. As they reached the house, Genma opened the door with a key. Raiden had given a key so they wouldn't have to knock and wait. Naruto walked ahead to find a dark room, which was really weird. Surprise. Naruto jumped in. Surprise, with a kunai out to look at all his friends in party hats and sporting big grins. Naruto, who quickly put his kunai away, looked around the room in surprise. He was wondering what the occasion was, asked everyone what the party was for. It's for your birthday, dolt, Ino said while looking at him as if he were the stupidest person on earth. Naruto took a deep breath. They did this all for him. And he was actually having a birthday party. I really want to see you grow and become a great shinobi. I also don't want you to be like me, I want to help you grow into a strong person. Naruto remembered his sensei's words just a moment ago. He looked at Genma, who had a lazy grin. So that's what he meant. He didn't want me to grow up without feeling like a kid. Sensei, you're the greatest. He looked at his sensei, who seemed to have got the message. But how did you guys know? Naruto asked the whole group. Well, I think me and Genma-san can fill that in. Naruto. Iruka stepped out of the crowd with a big smile and a party hat. He told Naruto that his team wanted to know his birthday and willingly gave it to them. With that, Tenten stepped out from the crowd and put on a party hat on his head while giving him a kiss on the cheek. Naruto blushed at the weapon mistress kiss. He gave her look over to see she looked beautiful as ever. Can an old man join the party as well? Everyone turned to the door to see Sandyame Hokage standing there with a wrapped package. Hokage-sama! Everyone shouted out. The old Hokage seemed to just smile at the sound of his title. Naruto couldn't be more happy. All of his friends were gathered to celebrate high birthday. Usually he spent birthdays just training or having an extra bowl of ramen. The party was in full swing as everyone exchanged stories and had food, which was made by Raiden's mum and Maki. Naruto could not have been happier. However, when he sat down on the table, Tenten also sat down, but on his right. He knew that she would start feeling him up, and of course he was not disappointed. She would do the simplest of things that would just make him blush. In his head he knew he liked Tenten a lot, but would he ever pursue a romantic relationship with her? Not at the moment. He was either too young or he was focusing on training more. The next event was Naruto's favorite, which was the opening the present time. He seemed to have got lots of presents from everyone. Even if they were cheap or expensive, Naruto would cherish them for life. However, there was one present from Genma that Naruto secretly liked the best. It was a group photo of Team 6 with all of them smiling. Naruto, who looked at all his friends smiling and having a good time, just felt at ease knowing that he was truly wanted by people and that he was not alone. A year and a half had passed and Naruto was a lot stronger than before. He could have easily taken the Chunin exams, but his sensei said that there were no rushes because next exam Konoha would be hosting. So what they did was a lot of exercise and teamwork training. Team 6 was starting to get noticed by Konoha a lot. It was said that their teamwork was so great that people started saying they were going to become the best team this village ever saw. Naruto just thought that was a long shot, thought they were still genin, but his sensei said they were all Chunin level for sure. They had also done a couple of more C rank, which were not that noticeable but were fun nonetheless. Naruto was currently training with Raiden, who seemed to improve a lot lately with his jutsus, when Mai came running towards them waving. Hey guys, did you hear? Genma sensei told me that they are going to be rookies coming to the Chunin exams, Mai said excitedly. Genma had nominated them this year for the exams. I bet it's just some Junins playing bets or something, Naruto said while sitting down and taking a breather. Hey Naruto, weren't you in the same class with those guys a couple of years back? And I think Ino-chan and Sakura-san will be there, Raiden said while getting a blush on his cheeks from saying Ino's name. When they were at the party, Ino wouldn't stop flirting with Raiden. When Mai heard her name, she scoffed. It was obvious to Genma and Naruto that Mai and Raiden really liked each other. Well, either way, they don't stand a chance against us, Naruto said with a huge smirk. Mai and Raiden had a bigger smile knowing that they were really strong. The next day, Team 6 were walking to the academy to take their test, also getting a good luck from Genma, who also said that they didn't need it. All three genins were psyched about this exam. They entered a building to find two groups starting at each other. They seemed to be in the middle of stairs. Hey, what's your name? A Hyuga said to a raven-haired shinobi. Aren't you supposed to give your name before asking? The raven-haired boy replied. Naruto, not letting these two stuck-up idiots stroke their ego, pushed past them to go to the stairs, not even to say hi to Tenten. Oi, watch where you're going, Uzumaki, Neji said with venom dripping his voice. Is that a threat, Hyuga? Because if it is, you should watch your back in the exam, Naruto said in a menacing voice. Okay, you two cut it out. Let's go, guys. Good luck, Naru-kun, Tenten said while hauling Neji off in the other direction. Naruto did not even spare a glance towards Team 7, he just kept walking towards the room with his team. Yo Naruto, you okay bro? I mean, you seemed a little pissed with your encounter with his holy arrogance. Raiden started writing down his comical sentence after he asked Naruto in a concerned voice. Naruto, really, are you okay? Mai asked in a really concerned voice. Naruto just smiled at his friend's concern for him and just nodded. I am okay guys, it's just that guy really pisses me off, you know. He walks around preaching about destiny and crap, Naruto replied back in pissed of tone. As Naruto was walking towards room 301, he saw a man standing there with a face mask and spiky white hair. They walked past him to look at him a bit oddly. Naruto wondered why a Junin shinobi would be standing there. Team 6 inches, the white-haired man called back. The three genin stopped and looked at the weird Junin. I have heard great things about you, but I wonder who is stronger, my team or you guys, Kakashi said in a bored tone. Well, you will just have to wait and see, Naruto said while the three genins walked into the room full of genins and to try and find a seat. All three genins sat down and started talking amongst themselves about the exam and that weird Junin. While they were talking, Team 7 walked in, which consisted of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and Hyuga Hanabi. I know it's tradition for the Rookie of the Year to be with the dead last, but I couldn't be another into making another OC. Then the whole of the Rookie 9 came into the room and started to make a huge fuss, which seemed to catch the attention of the whole room. However, Naruto was not looking at them. Right now he was staring at the weapon mistress Tenten. Tenten, who felt like someone was watching her, turned to see her Naru-kun staring at her. Of course, Tenten was never one to pass up a chance to tease Naruto, so she just licked her lips and winked at him. Yet again, Naruto's shy nature kicked in and he started to blush furiously all over his body. Luckily, he was saved as his best friend elbowed him to point at the Rookie 9. Apparently, some white-haired boy with glasses started talking to them. Raiden filled him in that this boy had ninja info cards. He seemed to possess the knowledge or info on every genin that was taking the exam. It was then Uchiha Sasuke asked information on three genin: Rock Lee, Gaara of the Sand and Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto's eyes widened. Why the hell did he want to know about him, Naruto thought. And finally Uzumaki Naruto. Let's see, he has done 30D rank missions, 10C rank missions and 1A rank mission. He seems to have a vast array of knowledge on jutsus and he has a nickname. He is known as Konoha's Raging Storm. That's all the info I have on him, Kabuto said while pushing up his glasses. Everyone heard him say that Konoha's Raging Storm was taking part and started to whisper the name, the infamous genin. Naruto started to grit his teeth. He did not like that guy with glasses and he seemed to have information on him as well. However, the man with the glasses got his comeuppance when he insulted the village of Sound. Wow, talk about stupidity. I mean, they just openly attacked that guy, showing off their abilities so openly, Mai said with indifference. Then after the ruckus settled, the first examiner appeared and told them it would be a written test. At this, Naruto started shitting his pants. He didn't know there was going to be a written part. He could have revised or prepared. As all the genin prepared to do the test, Naruto looked at the paper to see that the question were way too hard and there was no way he could do this. He could see only 3 questions he could probably do. When the test started, he could hear a lot of tapping and scratching. Naruto put his headband over his eyes and pushed chakra into his ears. He could both hear Mai and Raiden doing Morse code. As he got the message, it started to make sense. This exam was a test of information gathering abilities. Ever since they had become genins, all 3 of them started to train with blind floods so they could hear more clearly. Naruto filled in the answers that were coming to him. Apparently Mai was using some sort of genjutsu to get the answer. So him and Raiden copied the answers from the Morse code. Row 5, chair 11, you fail, and so to do your teammates get out. Naruto looked up, see a trio of genin leave dejectedly. Now all Naruto had to was wait for the 10th question. When it came apparently it was a choice of whether or not to take it. If they took it and failed the question they would never be allowed to become more than genin. Naruto just stood his ground and would never back down just like his friends. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief while he was walking to the forest of death. That 10th question had him quite nervous, but thankfully he was brave enough to get through that damn bastard's psychological question. Hey Naruto, you up for this survival part 1? Mean we can take any of these teams, I think, Raiden said with a cocky smirk. Hey Raiden, don't get overconfident, we don't know how powerful some of these teams are, so we got to be careful, Mai said to the both of them in a calm tone. As they received their scroll and gate number they got ready to jump into the forest for 5 days. As the examiner said that they were ready and the gates opened, they set off into the forest in a blur, going very fast so they could cover as much ground as possible until they got necessary scroll. They needed a heaven scroll, so they hoped they would be in luck. So how do you guys want to proceed with this? Just fight any random? Raiden was cut off when a torrent of shuriken came towards them at a frightening pace. Naruto reacted on instinct and shielded his friends from the attack with his own attack. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Naruto's shuriken hit everyone of the shuriken thrown towards them. The 3 genin dropped to the ground to find 3 cloud shinobi waiting for them. You should just give us your scroll because it's pointless fighting as we are more clearly superior to you. As the cloud genin was in the middle of the speech, Mai did a number of seals to use one of her favorite techniques. Megan. Narakumi no Jutsu, Demonic Illusion, Hell Viewing Technique. The cloud nins did not have a chance as they saw their worst nightmare come true. All could be heard was the 3 cloud shinobi screaming in agony. Mai was so delighted that she mentally destroyed the shinobi that she ran to retrieve the scroll, which was a heaven scroll. Wow, we are in luck, a heaven scroll. Hey, what's wrong with you two? Mai asked her 2 teammates, who looked kind of peeved off. It just that was so anticlimactic, Raiden said in a disappointed tone. You always say that, Raiden, Mai retorted back. Well, let's just go to the tower, we could run into some trouble, so the quicker we get there the better it is for us, Naruto told his friends. As they were running towards the tower they heard a huge shriek come from the forest. It was more like a woman's scream. Hey Naruto, Mai, do you think we should check it out? It could be a Konoha shinobi, Raiden asked with genuine curiosity. With those words they sped off in the direction of the scream. As they were running they saw the sound ninjas beating up a defenseless Sakura. Where do these Konoha bugs keep coming out from? The mummy-looking sound ninja said. It was then Team 6 noticed Hyuga Neji also perched on a branch. However, Neji said he didn't need to help when he saw an awakened Sasuke get up and start to release purple chakra. Naruto watched in awe how Sasuke demolished the sound shinobi with holes in his arms. Naruto looked towards Neji to see he was looking at him as well. They both knew what each other was thinking and that Uchiha Sasuke would be a worthy opponent. Naruto jumped down from the branch to go towards Sakura and Ino. It looked like Ino was cutting Sakura's hair to look more presentable. Hey you two, okay, you look like you have been in this forest for like 10 days, Naruto said with a grin. Sakura said she was fine and so did Ino. Naruto looked towards where Hanabi was lying. She seemed to have been knocked out, but was now being awoken by both Shikamaru and Shugi. His teammates wanted to get out of here as soon as possible so they could maybe relax at the tower. With that, Naruto bided Ino and Sakura a farewell and went on ahead to the tower. Taking one more glance at Sasuke, Naruto ran to the tower. When Naruto arrived there it seemed that the Chunin that came out of the scroll was Iruka. Naruto was thankful for the scarred Chunin to be there and talking to him. Team 6 were currently walking around the tower and they noticed that there was no one around at all. Hey, do you think we are the first group here? Because I don't see anyone. Naruto asked while looking around. Well, it took us at least a day to get here, so I don't think we are the first, Mai replied back while drifting off, seeing 3 sand shinobi walking past them. Naruto noticed the short shinobi with the gourd seemed to be radiating killer intent towards them. Of course Naruto was not fazed in the least and just walked past him hoping not to agitate him at all. Mai, who was not paying attention to the sand trio, looked at her sister's Genin team was there as well and started running towards them. Naruto and Raiden knew that Mai was on friendly terms with her sister's team. However, Raiden did notice that Mai was awfully friendly with the dog boy. Naruto, however, knew that Kiba liked Mai in a more than just a friend way. Hey, you guys made it as well, I am so glad. Did you make it right now? Mai asked with her tilted to one side. To that they got a huge nod from Team 8. Naruto noticed Kiba's dog shaking and asked, "Hey Kiba, is your friend okay? He seems to be shaking a lot." Naruto commented while pointing towards. He found out that Akamaru was shaking from the chakra of the sand ninja with the gourd. As Team 8 and 6 went in their separate ways to rest, Naruto can't help but think whom that sand shinobi really is. All the potential Genins gathered in a room with a group of Junin and the Hokage addressing them. Naruto, who was scooping the arena, found that were quite a number of groups there. The entire Rookie 9 were there and so were Neji's team and the Sand Trio. Naruto looked at two other groups to see that there were Sound Trio that got their asses handed to them by Sasuke and a Cloud Shinobi team. Naruto was surprised to not see the glasses guy. If he had so much info, then he should have gotten the scrolls. It was then Naruto realized something was defiantly wrong in this exam and that something big was going down, but he didn't know what. As the Hokage explained the meaning of the exam, Naruto noticed that Uchiha was grabbing his neck and was having a heated conversation with the Hyuga on his team. It was then that the third examiner told the assembled Genin about the preliminaries. Apparently there were too many Genin to fight in the finals, so they had to cut the numbers in half again. It was then that the first match was announced, which would be Uchiha Sasuke vs. Dosu Kinyuda. Naruto looked at the Uchiha survivor and wondered how this match would proceed. All the Genin and Junin senseis were now watching the match from the balconies. It seemed everyone wanted to watch this match a lot. "Now Sasuke-san, I will defeat you and take revenge for what you did to my comrade," Dosu said in a menacing voice. With that, both of the Genin started their fight. But everyone could tell that Sasuke was suffering from chakra depletion. It was also a fact that he couldn't use the Sharingan. Naruto deduced that the special eyes must use a lot of chakra. Naruto was looking at Dosu as he delivered some devastating blows and used his weird gauntlet to make Sasuke throw up and act all groggy. However, Sasuke seemed to turn it around as he was looking at Lee and did what looked like a kick to push the Sound Nin up. He then began to use Shadow Dance and delivered a mighty number of combos. The move he used was Lion Combo, which was a jutsu he created in the heat of battle. It seemed Dosu had no chance as he was completely destroyed by Sasuke's attack and was carried off in a stretcher. "Winner Uchiha Sasuke," the coughing examiner said while Sasuke brought himself to the balconies to watch the next match. "Hey Kakashi, don't you think Sasuke needs to rest and get some attention?" Genma asked Kakashi why he was letting him stay. Well, I want him to look at the competition so he will be ready for the finals," Kakashi in his usual tone of laziness. Genma narrowed his eyes at the perverted Junin. "Don't you mean to steal jutsus?" Genma asked Kakashi in an angry tone. "Your words, not mine," Kakashi said, not looking away from his book. With that, Genma went towards his three students telling not use any jutsu, which could be copied unless they had to. Naruto, who was taking in all this new information, got angry and thought, "No way, I am going to let some bastard steal techniques that took all my life to learn." "Don't worry sensei, all my original jutsu cannot be copied because they don't require hand seals, so he can't copy them," Naruto replied back with confidence. "Just be careful, not all techniques without hand seals can be protected from the Sharingan," Genma told a confident Naruto. Naruto now was thoroughly pissed off. He didn't want all his hard work to be copied so cheaply. However, he had to turn his attention to the next match that was coming up. Nara Shikamaru vs. Kin Tsuchi. This match was fairly straightforward as the Sound Ninja was clearly in need of rethinking her strategy and her surroundings. All the matches were quite straightforward. as you knew who was going to win. Kankuro beat the Cloud Nin Kyo, who seemed to lack chakra to even fight Kankuro. Hanabi had won an easy victory of Choji as she placed few precise hits on Choji's large body, coincidentally knocking him out. Shino showed that bugs shouldn't be underestimated no matter how small, and blew off his arms, which were plugged with bugs. Unfortunately, after still cheering Sakura to win, she lost terribly to a superior Tamari who just blew an already beaten up Sakura with ease. The next match, Naruto was glad that a Konoha female ninja passed. It was his ever-teasing Tenten who showed her skill with weapons. However, it was noted that she just passed by using her last and only big attack. If she wanted to win in the finals, she would have to do some good hours of training. At this point, Naruto was starting to get annoyed that his matchup was taking so long. But the next match caught his interest as Raiden's match was next and he was facing Kiba. Just as Raiden was going down, Naruto tugged his arms and whispered into his ear, "Don't show your full strength." All he got was Raiden's goofy grin as he walked to the center. Naruto looked towards Mai as she currently near her sister. Naruto could tell Mai was worried and didn't know whom to cheer. Naruto was just worried that Raiden would do something stupid to get Mai's attention and in the processes making her angry with him. "So do you think he will use his weapons or hands?" Genma asked towards his student. Naruto, not really knowing, gave an honest shrug as to say he really didn't know. However, Naruto did notice Sasuke look at interest as his Junin sensei whispered into his ear. Naruto started to growl at the Uchiha's blatant attempt to use the Sharingan even though he was out of chakra, so he could learn a couple of jutsus. However, before the match even got started, the spiky white-haired shinobi kicked off in his usual fashion by telling a joke. He even requested the referee time to tell the joke, who was a little freaked out that a shinobi would say such a thing. Okay, here it goes," Raiden said with a schoolgirl giddiness. One day, three guys were driving in the middle of nowhere when their car broke down. They got out and looked around at their surroundings. Finally, the first guy says, "I'm going to go look for some food." The other two guys say, "Why?" "So we can eat, of course," says the first guy. Once the first guy comes back, the second guy says, "I'm going to go get some water." "Why?" ask the other two. "So we can drink it if we get thirsty, of course." Once the second guy gets back, the third guy goes and tears off the car door. "What's that for?" ask the other two. "In case we get hot, we can roll down the window." When Raiden finished, he was rolling on the floor in hysterics, while the rest of the room just sweat dropped from the worst joke they had ever heard. Mai started to shout at Raiden for his really bad joke, telling him to be serious for once. With that, Raiden's match had started. Raiden squared off against Kiba using only taijutsu and not to use his ninjutsu so it wouldn't be copied. Kiba tried with all his might to get him even with his dog's transformation, but in the end Raiden beat him with an original technique, one he called Fist of Raiden, whereby electrical energy covers his fist and he punches his opponent, giving him an electrical shock as well as physically damaging him. Naruto could tell that Mai was torn between congratulating Raiden and rushing down to see if Kiba was alright. Mai chose the latter, rushing down to see if Kiba was okay. But Mai did not catch the hurt look that crossed Raiden's face. Raiden, not willing to see the display between both Mai and Kiba, left the arena saying he needed some fresh air. When Raiden left, however, it was a match that he would have wanted to watch as Ino and Mai fought it out. Ino showed some skill in being able to dispel some of Mai's genjutsus, however she was no match for Mai's ability with kenjutsu, so the match was easily decided as Ino forfeit, not wanting to die by the blade. The next two matches were ones to boil Naruto's blood as the Neji mercilessly put down and beat Hinata even though Naruto was cheering her on. Neji showed why he was last year's Rookie of the Year. Hinata was lucky, however, before Neji could kill her, the Junin senseis and the examiner stopped him from delivering the fatal blow. Naruto made a vow to defeat the arrogant Hyuga in the finals. The next match was more infuriating as Lee tried his hardest to beat the powerful Sand Shinobi's defense. But to no avail, he was quickly taken down even after trying to use both his special moves. The Sand Nin Gara crushed Lee's left leg and arm, making him unable to live as a shinobi. Naruto, however, didn't have time to dwindle. His match was coming up and left for the middle just in time for Raiden to come back from his fresh air. Sasuke seemed to watch this match with vigor as Kakashi whispered into his ear. Naruto could tell he wanted to copy his moves. So he decided to not use any ninjutsu at all unless he really needed to. Naruto was facing off against a Cloud Shinobi, the last from his group. Naruto didn't seem to care what his name was, but knew he was not all that strong from the way he carried himself. "Begin!" the third examiner shouted. Naruto ran towards the Cloud Nin full force with his staff. Naruto was able to dodge most of the Cloud Nins, but his speed was better than his and quickly beat him to the ground. Naruto was in shock that the Cloud Nin was that good, but failed to realize that his staff was in his hands. "So this is where you get your power. What would you do if I cut this hunk of wood in half?" the Cloud Nin tauntingly told Naruto. Naruto, however, was in shock when the Cloud took his staff and broke it in half using some sort of lightning cut jutsu. Naruto, however, was in shock. He couldn't stop the rage that was building inside him. "How dare you break that staff? That staff was a precious gift I got from a good friend," Naruto spoke in a whisper. Up in the stands, Genma was worried about Naruto and what he was going to do. "Naruto, don't use that technique," Genma shouted at Naruto, but it fell on deaf ears. Naruto prepared a Kanashibari no Jutsu, temporary paralysis technique, which froze the Cloud Nin in his shoes. Genma tried to stop Naruto from using this deadly technique, but it was too late as Naruto appeared right in front of the Cloud Nin and used the Bringer of Darkness technique. The whole room seemed to turn dark, and then everyone saw 15 flashes of light. When the darkness subsided, everyone looked to see a dead Cloud Nin and Naruto with blood-red eyes. Uzumaki Clan Haijutsu. Raging Demon.